to deal, the right method to use to deal with this very canker. And so that's what we want to delve into today. Our lifestyle audit, the key to enhancing public service ethics. We want to delve deeper into this conversation today, from now up until midday on the MG Dialogue. Once again, my name is Beatrice Edu. Let me tell you and remind you that you're live right here on TV3 at Adisawe Kanda. We're streaming live on all our social media platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, and also we are live on 3FM and 92.7. It's going to be a very packed event, and I can promise you that there's going to be a lot to learn and a lot to unravel, and really the way forward in dealing with the issue of corruption. Will lifestyle audit help? Along the way, we'll be having a panel conversation with lawyer Martin Pebu, who will join us on the panel. We'll also have former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo join us for that conversation as well. We'll have Dr. David Ofosu-Dote, who is founder AB and Africa, as well as a private legal practitioner. We'll have Professor Bafo Ajimandua, who is a governance expert. And very shortly, we'll be going into some perspectives, because really, we need to help you get a clear perspective on this whole issue about corruption and a lifestyle audit. And this morning, I did tell you earlier that we're privileged to also have the former president, His Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor, join us. He will be sharing his perspective as well with us on this very conversation about lifestyle audit and what we need to do to ensure that we are able to deal with corruption. Once again, my name is Beatrice Edu, and you're welcome. Those of you watching us live on television, following us on social media, I will be crossing over also to the Executive Theatre right here at TV3, where we have our live audience joining in the conversation. You're welcome. This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions practicing public service ethics. And I did tell you before we went on that break that we'll be getting some perspectives, integrity, corruption, and generally how that is contributing to the situation we have found ourselves. My name is Beatrice Edu. Once again, thank you for joining us. If you're just tuning in, we're streaming live as well on 3FM 92.7. We're live on our Facebook page as well as YouTube and all other social media platforms. I did tell you that we'll be also going to have a panel conversation and we'll have the former president, His Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor, share his perspective as well with us. But right now, I do have with me Mr. George Ahin, who is partner PwC. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Beatrice, and good morning to all our listeners.
And for being a part of this all-important conversation, really. Perhaps I should first find out from you your understanding of integrity and how that eventually trickles down into corruption and the kind of situation we are facing.
Thank you very much. You know, when you talk of integrity, it's very essential when we're dealing with corruption, especially when we're talking about lifestyle audit, because lifestyle audit touches on 4 key areas: the individual who is going to be audited, the auditor, the law underlying lifestyle audit, and the organization that is mandating it. And all 4 sectors or the parts of it must remain honest, open, transparent, and fair. Where you lack that, then trust within the whole process is diminished and integrity is lost. So to me, integrity is very, very essential, and it must be seen. The person who is being audited must be truthful and open. The auditor must remain independent, objective, fair, transparent, and they must give the people the opportunity to respond to whatever they find. It shouldn't be fact-finding and reporting about fact-finding, but also giving the auditee the opportunity to respond to findings so that it is trusted, the outcomes are trusted. That's when people get trust in the system and integrity is built.
After all, the law says that you're innocent until proven guilty, right? But you give us very solid points or pillars: individual, the auditor, the law, and the organization. Looking at where we find ourselves, where would you say the problem is coming from?
If you look at places like South Africa, Kenya, Canada, there are places that go by this lifestyle corruption and they're doing very well. In our part of the world, the problem is a mix. One, we hail people who have gotten wealth without questioning the source of their wealth. So we, the society ourselves, is part of the problem. 2, the institutions. We don't have a law. We don't have a law that enforces lifestyle audit. That's the beginning. We've got very good institutions like the Office of the Auditor General, who can help in administering if we have laws to help that. We have the OSP, and we have IOCO. All those organizations can help strengthen institutional audit in our country. But there is no law. So 1, there isn't law. 2, political interference, even if there are laws, or when people want to initialize institutional lifestyle audit, we get a lot of interferences. And those are the things that are setting us back in terms of we being able to enforce such things to make sure that that transparency, that confidence within the system is broadened, and people have trust that if you get wealth which cannot be supported by your income or assets, you can be brought to book.
So when you say there's no law, you mean a lifestyle audit law? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
You're actually calling for a law?
Yes. It's
Why?
very important.
We already have the Asset Declaration Act, among others.
That alone is not enough. Okay, to subject an individual to a lifestyle audit, the basis should be 2, either by law or through a contract you have signed that you will be able to subject yourself to a lifestyle audit. And yes, the asset declaration is there, but to take it a step further, you need a law to back that, and I am strongly pushing for that.
You talked about culture being a part of our problem, why we're seeing the kind of problems that we're seeing. What would you say could be the role of organizations as well in ensuring that the proper audits are done and people who have been corrupt are held accountable?
Organizations play a very key role in these parts. Society active societal organizations, organizations that drive the message home, like yourself and the media. It's key to enforcing this. Then we have organizations like the Auditor General being equipped and supported to be able to do those audits. And the private sector, public sector organizations play a role in this, because at the end of the day, if you are selling properties and someone comes to buy a property and you have not checked their source of income and you just sell a property to the individual, then you are supporting it. So it's a wider problem than just as it is perceived to be those in higher institutions that must be brought to book. No, we have a wider group of people, and it boils down from one, the individual themselves, to the organizations, whether you being selling to those individuals or supporting them hide their wealth, and the law itself.
There are those who think that the entire society itself perhaps must be roped in when it comes to dealing with corruption, because the Auditor General and the Attorney General, as individuals appointed by the man who was elected by Ghanaians, cannot do the work.
That is perfectly so. The best form of policing is you and I, raising our hands when we feel something is not right. But instead, what we do? We put pressure on people in high authority. We ask for so many things, and by so doing, pushing them to do what's not right. And we praise them when those are done, because we don't question anyone's source of income. So yes, we have a role to play in this.
What would be your final word before we have our next person who will come in to share his perspectives with us?
To our audience, Beatrice, lifestyle audit is essential. We have statutory audits we do all over the world, but lifestyle audit is taking it a step further, especially in our part of the continent, to make sure that people always declare the income, the right income they earn, and their lifestyle and expenditure patterns match their assets and income. And we should, as wider society, not support people who are living lavishly, but we cannot see the source of where they are making their money from clearly. So all of us, we have a role to play in this. Raise your hand, speak up, raise the red flags when you see something is wrong. Thank you very much.
See something, say something, like the national security would say, sure. But this time towards corruption and a lifestyle audit. Thank you very much, Mr. George Ahin, who is partner with PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. Thank you for sharing your perspectives with us. Yes, so he's just one of many individuals who are going to share the perspectives on integrity and really corruption and really the role of a lifestyle audit. Should we? You heard him say that he thinks we need a law to deal with lifestyle audit, a specific law that would ensure that people are able to account for their wealth and balancing that with the income or the sources of income. And so we'll be getting more perspectives on that. I did tell you, we'll be going into the laws as well, the Asset Declaration Act, and also others that have been made public for Ghanaians to really know about and really how to deal with this very problem. And yes, I'm joined right now by Godfrey Okanse. I had him recently on agenda.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
We have to stop them from taking what it belongs to all of us.
Yes. I mean, the last time we spoke, you were very vociferous, I should put it. The Ghanaians were playing. No, we're not serious about it.
I was not only vociferous, I was angry. I was angry.
Please use the microphone.
I was extremely angry.
You're still angry?
Yes. I've hyped it. After hearing more of the stealing, I'm hyping.
You're boiling up.
Yes. So let me tell you what. Growing up as a young man, I heard about the excesses of the revolution and June 4th revolution. I felt bad about it, but now I've changed my mind. I wouldn't have wished it happened, but if it happened and I've arrived at it, I better understand it now. So let me explain it further. I understand why the young girls stand at circle doing prostitution. It's illegal, it's wrong, right? But I understand, so I'll bring them out. We need to bring these people out of corruption. We need to stop them from doing corruption. So now I understand why somebody got extremely angry but couldn't have emotional intelligence. Now we have a good situation right now. We are calling it out. Systems are in place, so we'll still get our money. Won't take lives. But I now understand why people got angry and the excesses happened. It's so hurting that you see people very hungry. Others can't even relieve themselves of the pain they are going through. They are not well. They need just pittance, about 20 cities, 500 cities, 1,000 cities to visit the hospital, but they are not able to do so. And then you see others who are lavishly spending on just a watch or something, so it makes you get angry. But I think, yes, this morning I'm still angry. I think we should do a lot of discussion and then just nip this corruption thing in the bud.
In the bud, you say. We heard Mr. Ahin
Right.
with PwC telling us earlier that he thinks integrity plays a vital role as regards how much of corruption we are able to deal with. For you, what do you think is the missing link?
Two pillars stand around integrity, and that's what he said. Clearly, it talks about strong morale. It talks about honesty. The first word is honesty. I so remember that word that my daddy told me that, look, if you are honest with yourself, it begins with the self. Okay, others will just judge you as a mirror. Okay, so and what others say about you, to the highest extent, the self-concept works in, is who you are. If you're a very quiet person, they tell you you're a quiet person. Now, let me start it well and ask you, if I should ask you, are you a pastor, what would you say to me? Are you a pastor?
I'm not.
Are you a thief?
Where are you going with that, with those questions?
No, but I'm just asking you the second one. Are you a thief?
Obviously, even a thief will not say he's a thief.
So you see how you were okay with it. If you are honest with yourself, you see how the questions came and then your answers came. That's honesty. Who you are, what you think you are, and you are working towards it. It starts with the self. You want to be seen as an honest person, you practice it. It's not just like you just say like, I'm honest. No, it's a practice. So that's where we are. Are we honest with ourselves? Are we going to be doing the right things? So the strong morale begins with the self. We need to practice it. If that's your friend, he took the pen. I ask you, did he take the pen? The answer is yes, he took the pen. Before you put in the thought of, he's my friend, no. That is, start the truth. Before we go in with maybe the judges coming in to say they are tampering justice with mercy, what really happened? He took the pen. And then it will follow as a process. Everybody else will come in. So if you ask me about these lifestyles and then why we need to audit it, it starts with yourself. What you did, what you have, what you don't have. Like I started asking you, are you a pastor? You are not a pastor. It's questions and answers. That's all we are doing now. If you ask me, is that my pen? This is mine. This is mine as well. That one you are holding is not mine. It's all about questions and answers, but honesty and strong morale, starting with you. What you do is what people will see. That's it. And that's how basic it is. And it cuts through everything. It cuts through everything. From your home, to the church place, to your workplace, to wherever you are called. What it is what it is. In our Akan adage, we say what? It's one. What you are asked, go by it. And if you are honest with yourself, everybody else will also be fair to you. So, that's it. It should be grounded by principles and in law, what we want to do about lifestyles audits.
You were talking earlier about the need for people to report what is wrong. Indirectly.
Right.
I'm putting it in my own words. But there are those who say that perhaps we are not getting a lot more people stepping out because they're afraid. Perhaps we don't protect our people enough. How much of protection do you get in the Whistleblowers Act, for instance? Just so that people are very confident that as they are coming out to give information about you, Lamborghini or whichever car you've gone to have, and they suspect that it's not from your money, they are able to protect themselves.
I think as a country we've done enough. I'll put it about 60% protection for those who actually come out to report. But again, like you've said, are they even aware? Are they even aware that there are these safety nets to protect them, whether they say something or not? You need to actually let them be aware, let them accept that we are all doing this for the country, and let them adopt the practice. But I'll tell you what, if I know that when what we used to say, we started condemning this when we were very young. When you go and tell teacher that this guy did this, you are lapo. Right, you know, in our local parlance. But indeed, these are people who actually help with information to help all of us. So if you let them understand that their role they are playing goes to nip some practices that really brings everybody else down, I'm sure they will accept it and then they'll start practicing it. But it's important that you let them really understand it. So, I mean, protecting them is key. But at the risk of life, tell you what, if you sat back and watched, you remember on that show I told you, and my other colleague, that those who sit by and watch are equally guilty. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You remember when we were in the house playing around, when you saw Kweku pick the fish, he didn't tell anybody. When mommy finds out that you were there when he took
the
that
two of
fish,
you will be beaten.
You will be beaten. Because watching on is also criminal. And sometimes I go back and higher to even see you as the most worst person I've ever found. If you saw evil and you just watched on and left, I mean, it's also very criminal. I see it very wrong. So, I mean, for me personally, I think when you see it and say it, it will help for all of us to unearth this group of injustice or maybe very, very, very unruly thieves. They are some of them, when you listen to the amount they've stolen, they are unguided, greedy thieves. I mean, no principle. These are people who just want to destroy the state, as if they have something against us. So, I mean, the law should be crafted and well implemented, and we all know about how people are living lavishly. You see it. You are seeing the young man. He's doing no work, and then he goes and comes back. He's driving in a luxury vehicle and everything else. This is not Ahoya. It is not Chuk. Just let the police know. Let them question him. I mean, this is your role. You are just only trying to expose some of the things that goes on. When you do it well, I think it should be inclusive. When we expose everybody else and then you are asked simple questions, you give simple answers. I think at the end of the day, we'll get to bring people out and they'll be questioned. But let me tell you what, at the end of the day, let's add the taxation angle to it. When we have found out who are high income earners or have a lot, there's a special tax by the GRA principles to tax these people in their own special range. We should continue from that angle and then let it happen there. But when we catch a few of them in the net, I think we should have a hall of shame, especially those who stole from the state, those politicians, especially. They are leaders. You realize most of the time we come and then we hit the top. Because these are leaders. If I vote for you, and you are going to get high salaries, you're going to live good life, and you get protocol. When I'm on my way to work, you can just plop a siren, and I have to give myself away for you to pass. I respect you so much. I edify you. I respect you. I bow to you. I can't have you can't have a thief as a king or a leader. So if you are corrupt, I call you out. We should have a hall of shame.
Hall of shame.
Them all life long. I mean, one of our national galleries, the National Museum, we should have a hall of shame where we actually, those who have stolen from the state, will list their names over there, engrave it, if possible.
Like we do with the Hollywood stars, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you go to the hall of shame, you can see, the way they say that, ne papa be boy bra, and they say ne papa be boy okrono. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeffrey Okase, Executive Director, RMA. Of course, you'll be part of the audience right here at the Executive Theatre at TV3. But yes, I did tell you, we'll be getting a lot more perspectives before we sit down to also delve into the laws. Really, that would help us to deal with this very canker and whether or not we need a lifestyle audit as an additional law to the existing ones and what's different, really, that will make. But let me introduce Mr. Samuel Frimpong Manso, Assistant Auditor General in charge of District Assemblies and Educational Institutions. Good morning to you, sir. It's great to have you here.
Good morning, Beatrice, and good morning to all those who are listening to us this morning.
Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this conversation.
Welcome.
I mean, already we've had a perspective shared, honesty, integrity. What's your own take?
Yeah, as you said, integrity is just being honest and being ethical and straightforward in whatever you are doing. And as we talk about lifestyle audit, integrity plays a key role. Without integrity, I don't think anybody fits in any public office. So for integrity, we need to heighten it for whoever occupies, especially any public office. Yes, that's what I would say about integrity.
Mr. Okase was giving a proposal of individuals seeing people's wealth and just going ahead to report to the relevant agencies. But there are those who argue that there's a thin line between doing that and really abusing people's lives, because I could be jealous of you, and therefore I think that whatever it is you have, you shouldn't be having it. I'll go report you and just destroy your life. How about that?
You see, reporting one because of his lifestyle, it doesn't make the person guilty. And we need to investigate the person to ensure that, yes, the person has actually taken funds from the state. So, yes, integrity is good, and then the lifestyle is also where we need to have laws that will investigate. For instance, if you take the asset declaration law, Auditor General is not allowed to investigate anybody, just to receive the to receive the asset and declaration forms, just to receive it. We are not allowed to investigate whoever submits that form.
Even publicize it.
That's a gap, yes, even publicize it, and that's a gap. And so if the law is amended to be able to investigate whoever submits any surcharge and disallowance forms, I think it will be a very big step ahead to venture into the lifestyle audit.
So,
Yes.
Mr. Frimpoma, so let me get you clearly. You're saying that we can review the existing law to ensure we include publishing of assets rather than
Exactly.
going for a lifestyle audit?
No. I'm saying that instead of, I heard someone saying we need to get a new law
Which is the lifestyle audit law.
to deal with the lifestyle audit.
Yes.
And I don't share that view. And my view is that the laws that we have are so enough. They are adequate to the extent that we only need to revise it to suit this particular lifestyle audit. We only have to empower Auditor General to investigate whoever submits any surcharge and disallowance forms that he has, any asset declaration forms that he has submitted, so that we know whether the person has actually benefited from public funds or not. We may not just say that somebody is living lavishly and therefore the person has taken public funds. Yes, the person may have taken public funds, but we need to investigate it and be sure that the laws are working, the courts are working, their courts are fair, and we deal with the person. Whoever has taken whatever is not belonging to him or her should not be allowed to go scot-free. We need to investigate and punish that particular person.
A lot of people, a number of people are very disappointed, and I would assume that you are too, that a number of investigations are done, we make a lot of noise about them, and we don't see real prosecution of individuals to serve as deterrent. Why do you think we're having that issue? Although Auditor General presents information to Attorney General for prosecution.
I think that one boils down to enforcement of the laws. If we have laws, as we are saying, and we don't enforce them, it is just like not having them at all. So my bit is that we need to ensure that all the laws that we have, that we are saying they are all fantastic, we need to ensure that they are applied and they are enforced to the latter. If we do that, I bet you we have fantastic laws. And even some countries come here to learn from us and then to get our laws, just to amend them to suit their case. And they are good.
They are making it work for them,
Yes.
but we're not making it work for us.
We are not enforcing it. We are not enforcing it. We need to enforce it and then ensure that whoever has taken the public money is punished.
What about the bit about crack evidence? You need solid evidence so that when you are before the judge, even if people claim there are political, maneuvers and all of that, they can't go without the
You
evidence.
see, this goes to all Ghanaians because corruption, it is not only one person that is accused of corruption, because the one who is giving and the one who is receiving are all guilty. And if I connive with you and give you and you also accept, and we don't report, nobody also reports, then it means that there wouldn't be any evidence for the courts to adjudicate. So it is up to all Ghanaians to have attitudinal change so that whoever is doing something wrong that you see, you report it. And then whoever also wants to approach you to offer you something so that you also give in turn another thing, you decline it and then you report it. If we don't do that, we cannot push the blame on one person because corruption thrives on both sides, the one who is giving and the one who is receiving.
What is in it for the ordinary Ghanaian who is suffering to even meet the daily bread? If I see you doing something wrong and you promise me huge sums of money and it will sort me out personally, why should I go and report?
It is because the ones in charge, those in charge in the public funds, are not using it for the public good. If those in charge of public funds are using it for public good, then it means that most Ghanaians wouldn't be suffering. For instance, if I'm going to the hospital and the hospital has all the equipment, all the people there are working, and I don't need to struggle to join a long queue and then later be told to go home and come another day, then it means I wouldn't be that needy. And therefore, if somebody is doing something wrong, I'll be compelled to report that person. But if someone takes the chunk of the public money, funds that are meant for, let's say, construction of a road, and somebody just takes it, it means that I'll be deprived of getting the access to a good road. And therefore, I wouldn't be able to report whoever is doing that, because I also want to get something out of the national cake.
I'm glad you led me into that, and that's actually my last question to you before we have our next speaker sharing his perspectives with us. You are at the district assembly level and also in charge of district assemblies and educational institutions.
Yes.
There are concerns about corrupt practices. I'm glad you talked about roads. The cuts that people get within the district, the very local level of our local governance system and educational systems as well, paying bribe to put a child in a school that the child didn't qualify for. What have you seen in your area, and what are you doing about it, for instance?
Yes, thank you very much, Beatrice. And that is what I've been hammering on, that the attitudinal change of Ghanaians are the key. Because it's not only one person that is found in this particular mess. It is everybody. If I'm sending my child to school, and the only way I can get access is to pay bribe, and if I don't pay bribe, my child wouldn't go to school. What is the option for me? I will have to pay. And so it is up to every Ghanaian to change his or her attitude so that all of us will build the country for ourselves and for the future generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Frimpong Manso, Assistant Auditor General in charge of District Assemblies and Educational Institutions. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your perspectives with us. And of course, the bit about education, so that you stop paying bribe to get your child into school, and also that roads that are supposed to be constructed within the district are done well, and the monies that are supposed to be used or go into the construction will not be used as bribe. So you get poor quality road in our communities, and just in a few months after construction, the roads go back and we go back to the government to come fix our roads. But let me welcome as well Professor Enoch Opoku-Antwi. He's a governance expert. He joins us as well. Prof, it's great to have you here.
I'm always thrilled to be here.
Yes,
I think now Q3 is becoming my home.
Your second home, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for being a part of this as well. Really, again, I would say that a lot has been said. And let me get your general thought as well on what has been said so far and really moving forward, a lifestyle audit.
When we talk about lifestyle auditing, we're talking about two words, lifestyle and auditing. So which of the lifestyles are you auditing? And how do people live their lifestyles? So somebody's in public office, that person earns money, not in the right way, but in the wrong way. The person can invest the money in a different lifestyle that will be hidden, that nobody will know. Somebody can invest the money in trade, some in investment, some in farming, some in borrowing in their community, some in flashy cars, some in buildings and real estate. Which one are you going to assume is corrupt? Because some lifestyles are so secretive that you cannot pinpoint what somebody is doing. So when we talk about auditing something that is hidden, that is illegal, you need to be careful. The first thing is whistleblowing. If you see something, you say it, and you've already said it. But how do you see something and say it? I'm going to give you an example. Some people take money, and recently I found somebody who had imported some materials, building materials. He was building at a place, but the cars were delivering them at night. So this person saw the man and said, mentioned the man's name. The man did not respond because in his mind, if he responds, you've seen him, and then you report about that. So expectations corrupt people. And our expectation as a people is that when you get to public office, you need a flashy car and a lot of cars. You need some houses. You need to employ some people at different places. You need to buy a boboya and some taxis for people to drive for you, work and pay. All these are lifestyles that you don't assume, but you need to be crafty in making sure that when you audit, you get the right results so that the money can be retrieved and then you can stop that behavior. But let me ask you two questions. First, do we have the way people earn money in this country? Do we rank rich people in this country how they made their money? Somebody will say that I was selling the kerosene, I was selling some cassette, and I made money. And people believe it.
You don't think people can make money from that?
You can make money, but how many people have sold kerosene? How many people have sold cassettes and made money? So I have done some research that even most rich people in Africa try to get into their business. They are not listed at the stock exchange. Try to get how they made their money. And most of the funding, even their revenue, is blocked.
But isn't that how the entire system is? Not necessarily because
it's an opaque system. And you have people who are corrupted, supported by people's expectation that you need to fund this. The man talk about paying fees for your child, right? If your child do not qualify for a school, and I've had parents who will tell me, I need this category A school, and I'm ready to pay anything. Is that not corruption? That is the expectation here.
Do you report to those individuals? Because you
know... Of course. You know, I remember a chief called me and said that, Prof, I want to do galamsey because I don't have anything to live. And I told him...
He actually told you that?
Yes. I told him, you can't do that. You'll be arrested. He said, I don't know why I even talked to you because I'm talking to the wrong person. But the expectations make people, because we categorize people in this country by what they have, which is wrong. Material things. Oh, do you know this woman? That is the house. Do you know that man who uses that Range Rover? So we are using material things to categorize people. And if that is the expectation of every society, then everybody wants to be at that level.
But you've been a part of the society that holds these people in high esteem, which is even why our TVETs are suffering, because you need to, have a particular pedigree and all of that. And
because we don't have values. So let me ask a question. What are our values as a people? Is it telling the truth? Is it being honest? Which values have become archaic so that we discard them and then bring new values? We don't have national values as a country. What is our values? We don't have values. Traditionally, if a child is being named, our elders will just dip water into the tongue and say, this is water. If you see water, call it water. This is alcohol. If you see alcohol, call it alcohol. Was it not the value of telling the truth?
But
now, do we tell the truth anymore?
The society doesn't have that value that they were trying to signify to the child grows up
so
to become
we are
like
a society that should be thinking about values, number one. Two, the asset declaration has never worked. If I declare my asset and I say that I, Enoch Opokwenchi, I have 2 cars, I have 2 pieces of land, and I have 2 houses, and I write it in an envelope and give it to the Attorney General's office. Physically, nobody goes there to verify. So what it means is that at the end of my tenure, if I have 2 houses and 2 cars and 2 plots of land, that is what I wrote in the paper. So anytime somebody comes and writes, we have a lot of youth who don't have any job to do. Recently, a boy came to me. He has finished university 5 years. Do you know the job that he's doing? He's going to primary schools and selling tea, Milo. He has finished political science at Legon, going to primary school to sell Milo. Now, can't we employ some of these boys to physically go and verify the assets? Because the person is saying, I have 2 houses, I have 2 cars, I have 2 pieces of land. They are not talking about the commercial vehicles that they have bought for other people, but let people physically go and verify. Besides the whistleblowing, let's also verify to make sure that what is in there that they have written does exist.
My last question to you, and that's just for clarity. You talk about our system being opaque.
Yes.
And still saying that we need to be able to investigate the sources of people's funds. If your system is opaque, will it be fair for you to accuse me of being corrupt because you don't have a system that is able to automatically verify?
So we need to use technology now. We used to use technology to verify things. When we talk about auditing, it's forensic. You bought something, where is the source of the income? We have to look at the tax system. Tax returns is something that we have to look. The bank system, how people do transactions. In the advanced world, the reason why that is open is that you can never buy a house with cash. You can also never buy a car with cash.
There's actually a limit on how much you can withdraw from your ATM.
And that is 10,000. You can't withdraw more than 10,000 even from the bank. That is the Patriot Act. So there is that kind of openness in the way you do things. And once you begin to be open, that you can't use cash, because somebody can come $50,000 buying a car, a Range Rover or any other car. The person bring cash in a few Swami, cash, 50,000. And then you give the car to the person. You can never ask the person where they had their money from. Somebody comes to work for you, 50,000 Ghana cedis, you give the person cash. So we have a lot of cash system that makes people carry cash and do a lot of illegal transactions. Let's block that and make sure everything goes through the bank system so that the banks can report on where people's funds are coming from and how they are spending them.
Prof, thank you so much for joining us.
It's always a pleasure.
Professor Inokenchi, he's a governance expert, really sharing his perspectives with us, the need for us to look at this from all angles, to be honest as individuals, and to ensure that we're able to deal with our opaque system, because that is what encourages people to be corrupt. So if you're able to deal with that, then you can have the right systems in place that are able to verify really what people are doing and the sources of funding, and whether or not the lives they are living correspond to how much they are getting. So my name is Beatrice Edo. You're still here on the Media General Dialogue. And like I did tell you, today we're talking about lifestyle audits and whether they are really the key to enhancing public service ethics. And you've already heard and watched a lot of perspectives which have been shared. But let's have perhaps our last speaker for this session on really integrity and the role that plays in dealing with corruption, even as we talk about lifestyle audit. I'm joined right now by Mr. Michael Kwame Wedi. He's fundraising manager, Transparency International. Good morning to you. Thank you as well for joining us.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
You deal with a lot of stuff, the corruption perception index and all of those. Ghana has really not been improving. If you can tell us really where we currently are, first of all, and why you think we still are where we are.
Very well. So Ghana is currently at 42, a drop from 43 where we stagnated for nearly 4 years. We are dropping, if you look at the trend, because we have boasted a lot about the laws that we are passing and the institutions, but we have not resourced them and we are not ensured that the laws work for the benefits of the people, and that is why we continue to mark time and not improving. We have become, to borrow the words of the special prosecutor, we've become like a gyroscope, doing a lot of spinning but standing at the same place.
Standing at the same place, and for you, what do you think is the problem?
Well, I think that the problem is twofold. We are pretending to be fighting corruption, and yet behind closed doors, we are celebrating the rewards or the gains of corruption. People scream about corruption when it's the other side that is perpetuating it. When they have the opportunity, they do the same. That is what is our problem. The commitment to fight corruption is not there. And also the fact that we have overly politicized everything in this country, so much so that when somebody engages in corruption, you would find people of their political persuasion rallying behind them and then attacking institutions. We have not strengthened institutions enough to be able to deal with corruption. So the independence of institutions to fight corruption is not as strong as, so we all talk about let's have strong institutions, but the reality is that we're empowering strong men and weakening the institution.
But you need both, because when Barack Obama, former US president, came and presented that paper within Ghana's parliament, he talked about the need to have strong institutions and strong individuals.
I perfectly agree with you.
Because you need a stronger person to implement a strong policy.
Absolutely, you do need both. But you see, you need both, but you see, above it all, you need the laws to work. We must detach the persona or the persons from the law and let the law work. It doesn't matter who files against the law. We must look at the law. When we say rule of law, it means that the law is supreme. Until we hold the law in its majesty and make the law supreme, Ghana, we would not be able to deal with corruption, we would not be able to deal with crime effectively. We are all talking about the fact that we are failing in the fight against galamsey. It is just because we are not making the laws work. I do not, and permit me to share a perspective from what the Deputy Attorney General said. He says that we don't need new laws, and I think that I have a different perspective to that. We actually need a law, and a law for lifestyle audit.
You don't think perhaps the reason for that is because we have so many laws you're not even implementing?
Yeah, but you see, you need the lifestyle audit law for 4 main reasons. The lifestyle audit law, to be able to engage in lifestyle, you see, he talked about the fact that we already have asset declaration law, but the asset declaration only provides you a database of assets. You need a law that allows for verification and publication. Now, if you take our laws, okay, if you take our justice system, it is, if you allege that somebody is corrupt, you need to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And we need a new regime that shifts the burden of proof to the individual, because you see, the lifestyle audit, what the lifestyle audit does is that you do the lifestyle audit, you ascertain a variance between a legitimate income and the person's lifestyle. Then what do? Once you establish that variance, you do not have any law to take the person on to explain the sources of the unexplained wealth. You need a law that mandates the law enforcement agencies to demand the unexplained wealth, and we need a law that also enforces illicit enrichment. Without that, look, like we had with the Cecilia Dapa's case, the law enforcement agencies become toothless because they can establish the variance, they can establish the unexplained wealth, they can establish probably even an illicit, but how do you prosecute these individuals?
You don't think that, for instance, the Cecilia Dapa thing that you talked about, we really had a law to deal with it, because it was Office of Special Prosecutor, and then it was tossed to Yoko, because then the OSP or the Special Prosecutor said it's not within my mandate to talk about to talk about that very reason he sent the thing to Iyoko.
Yeah, you see, in the Cecilia Dapa's case, which everybody will do, because of the absence of unexplained wealth law, if you accuse me of having money in excess of my legitimate income, I can decide not to talk. You have to prove it. So, and then what the special prosecutor found is a lot of money movement,
Money laundering.
So he said, there's money. But you see, money laundering is a predicate offense. You have to establish an illicit activity that generated the monies that were laundered. That he cannot, or he was not able to do that. You understand me? Because I can decide to cooperate. But if there were a law that enforces, if there is a law that enforces him to explain, or her to explain the sources of the excess resources, then the burden of proof would have shifted, and the OSP would have been able to go the full mile. That is the problem. But other reasons why we need, when we want to engage in lifestyle audit, we need it because it's intrusive. People's rights can be violated. An overzealous institution can use the law to target political opponents.
Which is the fear of many.
Exactly. So therefore, we need a law that spells the boundaries, that spells that will tell you, regulate how the lifestyle audit would, and that is why my perspective is that we need a law to guide the lifestyle audit, if we so wish, and it will also help to actually enrich the asset declaration as I say. But we talk about asset declaration a lot. What we don't talk about is the declaration of the liability, which is very dangerous. Because you see, if I come into an office and I borrow so much, okay, to get into the office, okay? When I don't declare the actual liability, I can steal money or I can engage in illicit activity, acquire resources to pay debt. It will not translate in my lifestyle.
Well, Mr. Boedi, we'll have to wrap it up here and go to the executive theater. I did tell you that we have a lot to talk about today, but of course, Kwame Boedi is fundraising manager, Transparency International. My name is Beatrice Edu. Stay with us. We continue with the program.
Thank you.
Welcome back, and this is the MG Dialogues. And the question that we're asking this morning is, are lifestyle audits the key to enhancing public service ethics? That's the question on the minds of all of us that we're going to be seeking some answers to from our speakers, and then also for those of you who are gathered in here, making recommendations on how we can advance the fight against corruption and the demand for accountability, especially in the public sector. Beatrice Edu has been engaging some of you even before you walked in here into the executive theater here at TV3 on your thoughts, which has been very, very engaging, and indeed some of the proposals you've made clearly far-reaching and progressive enough for us to deal with this canker of corruption that we are having to talk about. My name is Alfred Okanse, and together with the rest of the team here at Media General, want to say thank you so much for making the time to be here, and we welcome you to this conversation this morning. And then also we're expecting that after this is not going to be a talk shop. We're going to put together all your proposals, your recommendations, and then also make those recommendations available to the various authorities that would action it. We're here. We're part of the democracy that we're building. If we don't see it being implemented, we have the power to make a change. And that's exactly what we intend to do. So thank you so much for coming. And over time, we've heard from the Attorney General. Sometimes when you hear him talk about the extent of public sector corruption, the Auditor General every year puts out an Auditor General's report. We see the Public Accounts Committee sit. We all get emotionally agitated. We're sitting behind our TV sets and we're either kicking our tables or shouting and asking what is going on. Beyond the agitations and frustrations, what can be done? That's the reason for this conversation this morning. What can be done? Because it is our money. It's our revenue, tax revenue, other forms of revenue that should be channeled to development that we are seeing go into people's pockets. So what can be done? That's the question that we're asking to demand some answers from you. To set the pace and the ball rolling for the conversation this morning, please, ladies and gentlemen, help me make welcome Mr. George Ahin. He is the country assurance leader and the lead auditor for Ghana, Liberia, and all francophone countries on the continent with PricewaterhouseCoopers, now known as PwC. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Set the ball rolling for the theme for this conversation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alfred, and good morning, our cherished listeners and audience in the room. Alfred, I'm the assurance leader for Francophone countries in Africa, not the world. But thank you. I thought I should share some few perspectives this morning and some insights before we get into the main panel discussions. And when we talk, let me start by saying, when we talk about lifestyle audits, we're talking about something very, very dear to people because you are going to touch on people's private space. And therefore, as soon as you mention lifestyle audits, tensions are high. Lifestyle audit is all about looking at individuals' declared, not income, declared income and assets versus their lifestyle and expenditure patterns. So we're talking about 4 elements, the one you have declared. So if you haven't declared it, and after the audit, you will have questions to do. It's your declared income and assets versus your expenditure pattern and your lifestyle. There are triggers to lifestyle audits, which we've all spoken about this morning. The way you live, the way you appear on social media may attract people or may make people think, no, you are living beyond your means and trigger a lifestyle audit. There are various forms which initiate lifestyle audit. Any lifestyle audit results in a discrepancy, which is maybe your declared income and asset doesn't match your lifestyle or your expenditure pattern. And that may lead to suspicion of fraud, ill-gotten wealth, corruption, and all sort of things. And it is up to audit firms or the institution to now look into those discrepancies and give the auditee the opportunity to explain themselves, after which we can conclude a lifestyle audit has been performed and one has been found wanting. But how does this process work? We always have 4 key elements involved in this process. We have the individual who is subjected to the lifestyle audit. We have the organization that may mandate the lifestyle audit. Then we have the law itself to back the lifestyle audit, whatever it is, and then the auditor. So these are the 4 facets of a lifestyle audit that can work together. Let me start with the individual. To be able to have a good lifestyle audit, the individual must remain truthful. Your declaration must be honest and truthful, because once stakes are high and various elements are involved, then trust is essential. Trust is very essential to cooperation and to building integrity. And given the high-pressured environment already, just by saying you're going to do a lifestyle audit on somebody, the person may be alert, and so there is the need for the individual to be very truthful and frank. Then we talk about the organization, and this is where we come in as a country, where the people or the institution mandating the lifestyle audit is not doing that discriminatorily, in a way that it doesn't benefit everyone. It becomes a witch hunting exercise where you look at somebody and you think they are from X political party, so you pursue them, or you don't like this individual based on race, gender, color, all sort of things. It must be neutral. So the organizations that mandate lifestyle audit must do it in a way that it's neutral, it's fair, and that's when trust is built in it, And that's when integrity comes into play. Then we talk about the audit firm itself, the organization undertaking the audit. First, you need to be independent. You cannot have your personal reasons to go and audit an individual. So you must remain independent and objective. You must remain transparent, respect the individual's data you gather. You gather only relevant and sufficient data and not go gathering everything about the individual. And at the same time, we must make sure that we don't share information beyond what is required by the law. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves wanting. Then again, you cannot use illegal means to gather information. You cannot use hacking and all sort of things to gather information about individuals and the lifestyle audit because it's not supported by the law. So those are the three elements I want to touch on. Then the fourth one is the law, which leads us to, I think, where we are this morning. For any lifestyle audit to be undertaken, it needs to be authorized. And the basis is either a law or a contract. If you work for an organization and during your employment you sign a contract that you subject yourself to lifestyle audit, it is the basis, it is on those bases that organization can initiate a lifestyle audit. In Ghana, we don't have a law. So then that's where we fall short. We have the asset declaration form, which is an amazing thing, which says that you must declare your assets before you assume office. Every 4 years, you must declare them again, and upon leaving, you must declare. But that's where it ends. So after the declaration, what next? We need to make sure that we take it to the next level. And we have a lot of lawyers in the room this morning who I believe will share their perspective and insight on us. But yes, it's important that beyond the accumulation of data in terms of assets that have been declared, we move to the next stage as a country to be able to make sure that we have a law. And the reason why we need a law is you need a law that provides guidelines and punishments in terms of people who abuse their position to get wealth. So it's essential that we have that in place. And once we are in a state where we have been able to either mandate a lifestyle audit through our organizations or company policy or through the law, we should be able to get ourselves in a better position. But for all this to work, there should be trust, because if the system is not trusted, then people lose confidence. And the trust element comes in all forms of shape, including the audit firms or the auditor who will be doing the lifestyle audit. Your evidence must be gathered in a way and in a chronology such that any person of a sound mind walking through what you have done will fairly come to the same conclusion. And when you have such conclusions being drawn, then the system is seen to be transparent, fair, and we can address this challenge that is facing our country. I believe with these few insights, we can delve into the agenda for the day. And Alfred, I bring you back on stage to take on from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please. I know that we are all upset about the state of corruption, but, let's put our hands together better for him, please. Perfect. Thank you so much, George. Thank you for this. And you couldn't have put it any better way than what you said, that indeed, if the laws are in place that put some guidelines and punishment, which will serve as a deterrent, then we're going somewhere. But is it the case that we don't have the current legal architecture to exact punishment, or it is the implementation of the current laws that there's a problem? So that, do we have to review the current legal architecture to add another layer so as to serve as a deterrent, or we effectively implement what is there currently, asset declaration law, and many others that we're going to touch on. The next phase of our conversation this morning, remember we're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. We are on 3FM 92.7 as well as on X, TV3 Ghana on X. And a number of you are following us across the world on social media. One such person is Professor Stephen Kweku Asare. He is a passionate Ghanaian. That's how he wants me to describe him. So Professor Stephen Kweku Asare is watching us somewhere in the world, not in Ghana. He sends a message. He says, TV3 is showing this program on lifestyle audit, and I'm reading it as I got it. Alfred, I hope the honors is not going to be only on the rich. The lifestyle of the poor should also be investigated. Probably the poor is poor because the lifestyles are not right. Honestly, we promote laziness in Ghana and discourage hard work. The hardworking ones are chased with taxes and other things that will consume their capital. I wish to see an organization one day chasing those who are not working to go and work hard. He says, thanks in advance. Not all rich people are corrupt. Dishonesty is our problem. He's watching, so please, let's put our hands together for him. Thank you. Thank you, Prof. And that would lead us into our panel conversation, and we'll first have Martin Pebu. He's a private legal practitioner. He is the leader of the Komepreko Reloaded demonstration, a member of the oral preparatory team, and he has his iconic hat as he has every Saturday morning on Key Point. Let's put our hands together for Lawyer Martin Pebu. Thank you, Counsel. Thank you. Please, yeah. Thank you very much. We also have joining us a transactions lawyer, a public-spirited individual, and also, he says, a free thinker. Let's put our hands together for Dr. David Ofosu-Dorte. Please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shortly, we'll have Professor Bafo Ajimendia joining us. But my colleague who will be moderating this conversation this morning is the one and only who set the ball rolling earlier with the pre-engagement before we started. Please, let's put our hands together for Beatrice Edu.
Thank you very much, Alfred. And a round of applause for him again. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you very much for joining us for this very program. And like you did hear Alfred say, the conversation has been going on since we started. A lot of perspectives already shared. Mr. Yisi, just getting some more, Mr. Ahin, yes, giving us a bit more just some minutes ago. But indeed, again, Mr. Martin Pebu, thank you very much for joining us, private legal practitioner. And of course, we still have Mr. George Ahin with us, partner PwC. And of course, Mr. Dr. David Ofosu-Dorte. And he is a transactions lawyer and a free thinker as well. Sir, it's great to have you. Perhaps I should start with you. Really, I did say that a lot of things have been said. Just tell us your preliminary thought on what the situation currently is and why we need another law to deal with the problem. You have about 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, if that's your question, then I'll start from a controversial point because I belong to the school of thought that doesn't believe we need another law. I don't believe we need another law. So just to set the tone for that. But I think a society that doesn't look at its history can never understand its present. And they may not even be able to chart a path to its future. We never look at our history. And I will look at a past history and also some contemporary ones, and then probably it will. So let's look at contemporary things. There was recently some very big birthday bash on Independence Square. Somebody got quay or something like that. And there was quite a lot of controversy about his lifestyle. I'm talking about what I read in the newspaper. I don't know him. And I did hear.
I mean, it was right on social media.
Yeah, and I did hear GRA went after his taxes, etc. Was there some law required for GRA to go? GRA has enough powers to do that from what and I'll give you a personal experience shortly. What about NAM1? It was in social media and the style and the result led to NAM1 and all that, and Bank of Ghana made statements, etc. And then in 2001, I received a letter from GRA, and I'm talking personal now, because there was a publication in the newspaper about a transaction I had led. And in that transaction, my fee was supposed to be $200,000. It was public information. And GRA wrote to me asking me to come and declare the taxes component about it. It wasn't lifestyle, but they came after me. And I told them, well, I had not received the money. It was a committee of inquiry that indicated that I had charged that fee, which I had not been paid. I subsequently sued the government and got paid anyway, and the taxes were paid. So GRA itself, by their very nature, can look at the things they read in the newspaper. And just so you know, they read newspapers every morning, and they go after people. In Ghana, if you pay tax, you are more likely to be chased to pay more. So to some extent, I agree with Professor Asari and what he said, than those who have not paid before. Now let's go back to our history on corruption, and we've come, and I have a list here. It will surprise you a bit. When we were writing the Constitution, we used to have something called the Ombudsman at that time, and then we converted it into Shraj.
Yes, and it's one of the arms.
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk about Shraj being empowered to deal with corruption, including lifestyle. Go back to the Hansard of the Constitutive Assembly. All these things were discussed. So Shraj came into force. There were a lot of public allegations, etc. Then we decided to create Yoko. Subsequently, it was then called Serious Fraud Office. And then we empowered them to investigate, etc. And then we changed. Then we have OSP, who also has some powers. Then we have Public Procurement Authority. And I remember during President Kufuor's time, the passing of both the Public Procurement Authority Act and the Internal Audit Agency Act were touted as things that will lead to stopping corruption. Again, the corruption has continued. Then we have the Whistleblower Act, where a lot of people ask that they pass a whistleblower and once the people can blow the whistle. The whistle is not being blown. We have the act. Then they came for freedom of information. Let's say once you have the freedom of information, the information you are not getting. Now, I can go on. And this does not withstanding Ghana Police. Now, I have had a client who, in his transaction, was investigated by Customs, Police, IOCO, SFO, and GRA for the same transaction. Now, we have a plethora of laws that indirectly will allow us to be able to question a person's quote-unquote lifestyle. I haven't yet come to define what lifestyle is, but I went through this history to give you an idea about our history and our contemporary times. Give me 1 more minute. Cecilia Dapa's case, which I heard somebody talk about on air before we came on the stage.
Yes.
Was it as a result of a lifestyle audit, or was it a result of declared assets? Remember Mr. Ahin talked about declared income and declared assets. No, the money was supposed to have been found in her room because her house help stole the money or so. Again, if what social media said is right. So again, as a result of that report, some investigation started. I don't know the end of that investigation.
Well, we heard what happened. OSP saying that it didn't fall within its mandate and going to
None of
Yoko.
all this plethora of things I have said has led to the end of corruption. I'm going to tell you something which may surprise many. Culture of a people cannot be divorced from the way they behave and why they are who they are. Now, I'll come back to culture as the program goes on, but there's some particular thing I want to talk about. We have a culture that makes us feel disempowered, no matter how much we are empowered. So look at Ghanaian organizations. We are always looking for more laws to empower us, even for what we already have. And we repose our solace in the law that we think we don't have. But that's why I've deliberately given you a plethora of laws that we have passed, none of which has empowered us. So each person who has the power to do what he has to do will tell you, oh, I need one more law in order to do it. So if you cast your mind across this country, you see committees have been changed to commissions have been changed to authorities, and the more authority you give them, the less authoritative they become. No, hold on. I will land shortly. This is important because you need the context. So the culture of a people, which makes them feel disempowered, will lead them to a situation where they are always looking for laws to do what they can do. Yes, my position is very simple. I am all for lifestyle audit. But I don't believe we need another law. The list I have given you is enough for those institutions to check me today and to check both public and private. I'm giving you the examples. So we don't need another law for that.
We don't need another law for that. But you made one point I wanted to get quick clarity on before I go to lawyer Martin Pigbu. You said that there was one individual who was investigated by, I think, 5 institutions.
Yeah.
You listed them. You're a lawyer yourself. Are
Yeah,
you
a client of
saying that based on your own interpretation, it was wrong for all these institutions to investigate one matter?
My position is that as a result of the multiplicity of institutions, each of the institutions actually find a way of not doing what it ought to do. And at times, even when one has finished, another one starts. So at the end of the day, the sanctions never get carried out. If you want to create a new institution to start lifestyle audit, you will find that they are going to now clash with GRA, IOCO, SFO, OSP, Attorney General, Police, all that I have listed.
Thank you very much. Please, shall we give him a round of applause, Dr. David Ofosudote? I'm coming to you, Lawyer Martin Pigbu. I mean, recently you've been very upset, even asking the special prosecutor himself to be held accountable for, as it were, being inefficient and all of that. Tell us really what is fueling this anger, as it were, and why you think at this stage we need to look at a lifestyle audit, whether it's through a law or any other way of dealing with it.
Right. So what's fueling my anger is that, as I stated clearly, and most Ghanaians by now have come to join the fray. They've joined the fray because Kissie Jabin subsequently came to admit that he saw Oforiatta leave. And even before the departure, he said he had intercepted the letter that Oforiatta wrote to the outgoing chief of staff and the incoming chief of staff. Right? So once he stated that, and also stated that he had gone to the security agencies for help and didn't get same, which has turned out to be palpably false. I mean, naturally, as a citizen, I'll be angry, extremely angry. And natural fact, it had been simmering for a while because I'd heard, like we say in Ghana, you know, but each time they'll be like, hey, listen, if you go out with it, they will ask you for evidence. If you go out with this allegation, they will ask for evidence. So it's good riddance that eventually he came to admit that, look, he saw Oforiatta go. He even had the letter. And I said, then that is the right time that he has to leave, because what better evidence we have than a confession? Thank God there are quite a number of lawyers. I see some in the audience.
The confession was to tell Ghanaians that he couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, but that's hogwash, absolute hogwash. We've shown that he could have done a press conference. We've shown that he could have done a press conference, and the law mandates him to do that. And he had done Ankwa Numa Part 1, and so we wanted Ankwa Numa Part 2. So if he had done a press conference, and you see, it's constitutional. Asking him to come and inform our citizens is constitutional. You find it in the preamble to the Constitution, Article 1, Article 35, and Article 125. That is sovereignty. Sovereignty resides in the people, okay, and for whose benefit and welfare the powers of government are exercised. So if you're exercising your statutory powers and you get challenges and no other institution will help you, come back to the owners of the land. This is deep political theory. It's not just constitutional theory. Ask the political experts. On Saturday, you heard Professor Jampo bringing the political science angle. So it's a governance issue. So we shouldn't be sitting here joking, please. And so in that light, tomorrow there's a citizen who is going on a demonstration. Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labi. We should join him, 7:30 at the Brassport. If you don't, it means you are not protecting the Constitution. If you want to protect the Constitution, tomorrow you should be at the demonstration. The special prosecutor comes to tell you that he saw the most valuable suspect. Like in football, you say most valuable player, right? In this one, we say most valuable suspect fleeing the country. And he chooses not to inform the citizens and kept quiet until citizens kept making noise, putting pressure. Then about 10 months on, 5th of November, he now comes to spill the beans. You don't have a special prosecutor. You don't have one. You don't have one.
Earlier, we had Mr. Michael Kwame Bwedi with the Transparency International. He listed a number of challenges with our institutions and why we are where we are. Yeah. One of the things he talked about was the need for us to strengthen our institutions. And he gave examples. You don't think that perhaps the special prosecutor has found himself in this situation because he and the act that established him, they don't feel empowered enough?
Not at
strengthened enough?
Not at all, Beatrice. Beatrice, I don't agree. Beatrice, if we open the Special Prosecutor Act right now, right, we would read to you that the Special Prosecutor has police powers. So they said that he went to NIB. Do you know that NIB that by itself doesn't even arrest? The people at NIB who are arrested are actually policemen. When you read the Securities and Intelligence Agencies Act, NIB is an intelligence agency. NIB is not super police. They are not the senior brothers to the Ghana Police Service. They are to gather intelligence, but then as part of their work, then they collaborate with the Ghana Police Service. So the people who arrest, the NIB officers who do the arrest, etc., are actually Ghana Police Service personnel, right? So it's just a ruse. And have you seen the write-up Manasseh did? You know, I earlier on said that I checked with NIB, and they said it's a lie. Kisi never came there asking for any help. And today, Manasseh has corroborated me. He's also done his checks. Just this morning, he's put it out there. So it's a palpable falsehood. Look, it fits into that thing that he's a double agent. He was fighting and still fighting to help Akufo-Addo appointees. Pure and simple. We will continue to make that noise. At least this particular case vindicates me. The Oforiatta is Akufo-Addo's cousin and Akufo-Addo's appointee. You see, sometimes I think the law, this time about every time, go and bring hard evidence. It's allowing too many criminals to escape. Because we always knew it. You know, from day one, people kept saying that, look, Kisi Ejabin can't do this job. He's too conflicted. Look, Beatrice, you can go interview Kisi. Ask him, has he ever been in meetings with Oforiatta where financial decisions were made? He knows what I'm talking about. Has he worked for Oforiatta? Has he worked for Gabi? How can such a person investigate Oforiatta? How can such a person investigate Oforiatta? We're just going to lose. We'll lose a court case, some of the charges. Because, look, let me mention, causing financial loss. Who gave him that authority to do causing financial loss? That power belongs to the Attorney General. You know, when the Cecilia Dapar matter came, he said that he's not empowered to do money laundering. So he was sending the docket to Iyoko. And then he even gave the money back to Cecilia Dapar. When he could have taken, of course, he would say court order. But my point is that this time, why is he going ahead with causing financial loss when that one he doesn't have the power?
And I'll come back to you, Mr. Kwebu, for you to finish with your thoughts. But I wanted to get, again, the preliminary thoughts. I know you spoke just before we came for this panel conversation, Mr. Ahin. I was referring earlier to what Mr. Michael Kwame Bwedi said about weak institutions. Individuals as well to match it up. Again, he talked about we pretending to be fighting corruption and politicizing everything. What would you like to say about these thoughts that came through and your own understanding of the situation as we have it now in Ghana?
Thank you. You know what? Other countries have tried this lifestyle audit and it didn't work very well. Example is Kenya. And it's because of one, weak institutions, lack of collaboration, and political interference. If we don't take these things out of this discussion, we wouldn't get anywhere. Let's be objective. One, we just spoke about a lot of organizations doing audit and auditing individuals. That's not right. You cannot have your whole life being audited by one organization after the other. It must be structured. They must work together collaboratively to make sure that all the loopholes are found and blocked. And that's the way to make lifestyle audit work. Two, we need to take this political NDC, MPP, all those things out of lifestyle audit, which is why we are pushing for an independent institution. Even if the laws that we have in one form or the other supports lifestyle audit, it is so dotted and scattered that execution is a problem. And we don't want to be seated here talking grammar. We say strategy without zest is grammar. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that people are held accountable. We, society, glorify those who steal our money to encourage them to steal more because we put pressure on them. We praise them for driving flashy cars, houses, all sort of things. And in the earlier submission, someone mentioned buying property abroad. You can never buy a property abroad without going through with the sources of your fund. So we should be able to put these institutions together in a coordinated way such that if you are flagged together, collectively, they will come at you to make sure comprehensive audit is undertaken, and if there is any ill-gotten fund, it is found. He spoke about tax authorities. That is to see if you have evaded tax. So that's only one angle of lifestyle audit. So that's why we want to make sure all your assets, any income, plus anything, whether declared or not, through a lifestyle audit will come out, and by so doing, make sure the state or the nation gets what has been stolen back. So there is a call for proper coordination, collaboration with these government agencies, and training. We need data analytics tools. We need people who really can undertake good forensic audits to be able to uncover these things.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for him. I'm coming back to you, Dr. Dote, and just building up on what Ms. Ahin just said. You talked about so many institutions, and I heard you say that we should be able to put the institutions together. I also get the understanding that you want a harmonization of our systems. If you can tell us more about that and why you think that is affecting implementation when it comes to our laws.
I think maybe you're not getting the core of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that looking for a law in order to do what you're already empowered to do is disempowering yourself. It's actually a very nice excuse of not doing what you can do. I agree with him, and I clearly understand that the GRA part enables them to determine whether or not you are liable to tax or not. But Beatrice, I want to emphasize, never divorce the culture of a people from the law and what and I want to give you some examples. Let's be careful here. We pretend that we want to fight corruption. We are really not fighting corruption. Now, let's take a situation of asset declaration. It's in the Constitution. And again, I like to go back to history. We discussed this same thing in the Hansard. This is 30 to 35 years ago. Some of us have been around for a very long time. This is not a new discussion. Then they said declare assets. A people whose culture encourages them to put in their constitution that you will declare an asset and seal it and nobody can open. That kind of culture of a people is a people who are pretending to be acting. Those people don't want to do anything. What is the purpose of declaring assets and sealing it? What is the purpose?
So we should review that.
Well, it's taking us 40 years. Why haven't you reviewed it? When it came to dividing the country into districts, didn't MPP and NDC come together and jointly campaign that we should create 6 more regions? They did. Why haven't they come together and say we should open the asset declaration? Oh, hold on. So somebody will make it a constitutional committee, and then we will now say declare the asset. And when we now say declare the asset, I'll tell you the next problem. How do you find somebody's assets? We have a messed up land title system. If I buy land today and you go to Lands Commission and I have not finished going through the title, you may not find that land is for me. It may be for me. So determining my asset before you even decide to check whether it matches my lifestyle becomes an issue. Now, in our culture, what exactly is lifestyle? Is it when I go to church and donate a big one? Now, if so, are we going to add private citizens to it? For example, is a general overseer who drives a big car and flies private jets to be audited, or it's only public servants that we are talking about? Or if we come to a situation where I go to a funeral or I do a very big funeral, is that what becomes the basis for the suspicion? All I'm trying to point out to you is that before we create a new law, we have existing institutions who are just not doing the right thing.
Which is a point you've made quite clearly.
Over and over.
Yes, but again, you keep saying that we cannot take the culture of the people away.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we want to work together as a society to deal with the problem. How do we acknowledge the culture and yet ensure that we are working around it to make our laws work in dealing with the problem?
Good point. What we need, you see, when you want to create, when we keep talking about strengthening institutions, we actually misplace it. An institution is only as strong as the people who are leading it. So if you have somebody who is in charge of the institution, and unfortunately he's not here today. When Dominibo was Auditor General, we all saw that institution, what it was. I haven't monitored the current one. When the person leading the institution decides to enforce its law, the institution itself over a period becomes powerful. That's what we need. So we need to allow those who are in charge of institutions that freedom to be able to implement the law that they already have the power to implement. I'm just against a situation where we spend the next 2 years trying to debate another law with a view that that law is going to empower somebody to create a lifestyle audit, and by the time we are where we are in 2028 and that law has not been passed, and then nothing happens again. That's all the point I'm making.
I'm coming back to you, Mr. Kpebu, and again asking you the direct question of whether or not lifestyle audits should be routine and mandatory. We've already spoken about Article 286, which spells out the process that Mr. Ahin talked about earlier. We also have the Asset Declaration Act. How do we go about it?
Good. Hello. We need a complete overhaul of the law. So that's where I disagree with my, especially Senior Fosudote. For Mr. Ashon, he said, yes, I think at a point Mr. Ashon too didn't quite agree with the new laws, right? Or you were more nuanced. I'm sorry, Mr. Ahin, yeah. That we should have new laws. Yeah, good. Look, we need a complete overhaul of the laws. The laws right now are not fit for purpose. Let's start from the basics. All right? So, or let's reiterate, since the point has been made earlier. So we all agree that if you took a complaint to Shraj now, right, for its mandate under 218, that you've seen, let's say, let's give an example. Minister X has 6 cars in his house. You think that his salary doesn't support such number of cars, etc. So you want a lifestyle audit. So that petition to Shraj, we agree, it's a lifestyle audit. Mr. Ahin has already said it. Both panelists. We have different kinds of lifestyle audit. You can have the tax audit, right? And then you can have the Shraj model that we have in Ghana here, right? Of course, it's the tax models that are very common all over the world because the tax commissioners want to collect taxes, right? But we, apart from the tax one, have also set up the one under the Constitution, Article 218, etc., based on Article 286. So the point is that the reason we need to change the laws, number one, when you look at so I'm coming into the matter of the culture, and very, very important. The Afro Barometer, you can Google it and see the number. They did a poll on why citizens don't want to report corruption and corruption-related offenses. They say about 8 to 9 out of 10 were scared of reprisals. As I sit here, you know how many people come telling me that, hey, OSP, they'll come after you, they will maim you, they'll kill you. Even when we're talking about Akufo-Addo those days, the same thing. So lots of Ghanaians, I don't know what's caused it. Kwame Nkrumah's time, we're not like that. I don't know whether it's the the long period of revolution, the way Rawlings and his people mated a lot of, the vigilante beatings. I don't know whether that's what's made us timid or what. We can leave that for the sociologists. But currently, research shows that the main reason most people don't want to report is they are afraid of reprisal attacks. So that tells you that you need a new law to cure the need for reporting. So what happens is that currently what the Ghanaian likes is that he won't put his face to it, but he will come to your house midnight and give you the information. he will come to your house midnight and give you the information. Why do you think I'm boldly taking on the special prosecutor? Of course, because Ghanaians are seeing me and giving me information.
And I just want you to talk about really the generality of the issues. Yes.
Yes. So what that means is that we need to change the law. Instead of saying that send a petition to Shraj, what you would change the law to say is that at a certain period, okay, you automatically say that all the public officers, you can stagger them, they are going to appear before Shraj to justify the assets they've declared. So when Ghanaians know that on this day, Beatrice Edu will be going to Shraj, the night before, they will go to Shraj and give information. That is what our history shows. So that place again, I also can agree with Senior about our culture. There is a positive part of our culture, but that positive side is that we like to give the information in secrecy. We don't want to do it openly. And let me go back to 1979, 69, etc. There may not be time. You can Google it. Look, go into the 1979 elections. The Electoral Commission disqualified over 100 Ghanaians. Big names. You Google it, you see the law. Over 100 big, look, let me use J.H. Mensah. He went to court, he lost. So in 1979, he couldn't stand. He was disqualified because he couldn't justify his assets. There are many people, many of the politicians, right? You just Google it. If you don't find, you contact me, TV2, they'll give you my number. I'll give you the law. You see a full list, over 100 were disqualified because a lot of people were made. So this is where I'm saying, in 79, before the elections, what they did was that they set up a committee and said, if you want to stand for elections, go before the committee and justify your assets. Lots of people went, and they failed. Then we took the Taylor committee report, Apalu, all those people, and then added them and disqualified over 100. That was lifestyle audit. So we've always had a strong culture of lifestyle audit, but it appears that we don't read much. You see, we are in a hurry. So look, I could go on and on and on. So the point I've made is that we'll change the law to say that, yes, there can always be the petitions, but make the law general that at a certain point, all the ministers, currently under the asset declaration law, when the minister is leaving, not just the minister, maybe because they are more popular, all the people who have to file their assets under the law, if you earn public officer...
Please use your microphone for us.
Sorry, yes. A public officer earning at least 5,000 Ghana, that's a qualification, right? You have to declare your assets. So when they are leaving office, you just do the exit declaration and go away. But there should be a hearing. So if Ghanaians hear, like I keep saying, if they announce on TV3 and other media that tomorrow Beatrice Edu will be before Shraj, I'm telling you, you will see people who will go the day before and give the information. So change the law. Then number 2, which is just 2 more, very salient, because it's a law.
Please
otherwise, you not make...
Yes.
Hello? Point number 2, you see earlier on, Mr. Bwedi mentioned the matter of the law.
Yes.
So currently, when you go to Shraj, the burden is on the public officer. It's not on you. Yours is to go and show that you are saying, right, that you've seen extra cars, houses. So they will open the declaration the officer is giving. So when they open it, they see that the public officer declared 1 house, 4 cars. And you have shown that, no, there are 6 cars or whatever number. So yours is just to show the pattern. What makes you believe that the extra 2 belongs to him? That's all. Because it's what you've seen with your eyes. Then it's for him to show how he got it. So the burden when it comes, but that's a civil case at Shraj. And in our past, look, PV Obin, maybe some are too young. PV Obin lost office because Kumsin, that's a chronicle. Yeah, went and reported to Shraj that no, his income, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, long story short, JJ kicked out PV Obey. There are matters of AJ Mafo. I think that was Afo Mafo's relation. AJ Mafo put property in the name of a 6-year-old son, etc. I went to Shraj, he lost. So we've always had a strong culture of lifestyle audit, but it appears in recent times people are not reading our history, and so we are not checking. So that's to make the point that currently under our law, if you go to Shraj, the burden is not yours to prove. The Constitution says that it's for the officer to prove how he got it. If the car is not for him and it's for some, he is the one who will go and bring documents to prove that no, the house is not his. Change another law. When we talk about the lifestyle audit now, and as part of money laundering, let's watch this. When you have too much income, Parliament has passed a law saying that if we find you with income, cars, etc., that you cannot explain, it is money laundering. So we've changed the law. And then the previous Attorney General tried to turn it on his head. This is the power matter. So we had to sue. The matter is in court. You wait for the judgment. So as for changing the laws, we need to change it. You see, you are in a hurry to...
No. I'm just listening to you, yes.
Okay,
I want you to land and then I would come in.
So we will need to overhaul... I'm not critical. I just wanted to stop. In case, okay.
Just make your point, please.
All right, good. So what we'll do is that when we change the law, what we'll do is that you open the space for others to come in. So for me, more laws, I welcome them, because what would happen is that we are improving the laws. We are improving the laws. Mr. Bwedi mentioned the criminal aspect of the lifestyle audit. So he is saying that it means that if after Shraj, currently the biggest lifestyle auditor is the Shraj, because GRA, they've not been using the law. It's been there, but they don't do it much. I mean, or at least even if they do, GRA doesn't report to us in a manner that makes us believe that they are doing a lot of lifestyle audits, right? So Shraj is our main person. So what we're doing that, if we change it and then you have Shraj come out that, yes, Mr. X has acquired this assets unlawfully. Mr. Bwedi is saying the criminal aspect. And so that one, I agree with him that we should change what we call the reverse burden. Just as right now, if you went to Shraj, you don't prove much. You just show that you've seen extra assets belonging to Beatrice Edu. Then they say, Beatrice, where did you get X, Y, Z? So you are to prove. So Mr. Bwedi and Domlevo and so many other people are saying that let's bring that law, the reverse burden, to the criminal justice system when it comes to corruption. And we agree. We agree so that the corruption cases, when we get to court, instead of you to prove that he did it corruptly, right? We'll put the burden on him that, look, without corruption, you wouldn't have had these assets, etc., right? So that the burden goes to the accused person. So we'll certainly need it to help make the law better. Do I have more time?
I will come back to you very shortly, but let me say we are grateful to State Housing Company for being a part of this conversation. Also grateful that Piva Drinks would be part of this conversation as well. Thank you for supporting us. And also King Furniture. Thank you all, Piva, King's Furniture, State Housing Company, for supporting us and being a part of this conversation. But I realize that Dr. Dote, you want to come in, and I'll let you come in very briefly. But I want to ask you, Mr. Kpebu, because that's one thing that Adam Senanu, for instance, has been championing, that we need to be able to look at the conduct of public officers bill as part of ways of dealing with this problem. Where do you stand on that? And then I'll come to you.
Perfect. Yeah. How could we even have forgotten this? I mean, it should have been one of the earliest points. Because as we sit now, the new law where they publish your assets, and one other thing we want to do is that to make the law better, the assets be published. Mr. Bwedi of Transparency International mentioned it too. So as part of the campaign, we want the assets published so that it's when citizens see what you have published with Shraj or whichever other institution comes in, then they can look and say, but I live next to Mr. Bwedi. He's published that 2 houses. Kokomlemle cantonments, but maybe he's been seeing Mr. Bwedi and the family living in, let's say, Oyarifa. 2 years, he's been there constantly. So how come the Oyarifa building is not there? So it's when the citizens see what Mr. Bwedi has published, then that's when they can fill in the gaps. So you see why, Senior, we need more laws. The transparency, and that transparency, look, we had it under JJ's regime. Is it PNC Law 280? Yeah. We had it. So today, look, I challenge you, if you want to see JJ's assets, not the most current, but at a point before we change the law, all the PNDC appointees, all you need to do is walk to Assembly Press. You can go and buy copies there. So now, coming back to this other side of your question. So the new law is part of the IMF conditionalities. You see, we kept making noise. Akufo-Addo promised to pass it in 2023 at the Bar Conference in Cape Coast. It didn't happen. Then in 2024 in Kumasi, I have the speech here.
Well, the government has opportunity now. It's been in for 11 months.
Yes. So we need to push this current administration to pass it. You see, the politician won't do it because they know that it will expose what? corruption.
So that's your direct push to the
Yes.
president to
Yes.
ensure that this is passed.
Absolutely. Because look, it's an IMF conditionality. This program we are going to complete in about June next year. This is one of the conditionalities. And then we're to pass a law to make Bank of Ghana stronger.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Kpebu. Please, you have the floor. Because it seems that so far what has been said, the current Asset Declaration Act and any other legal provision doesn't fit in terms of dealing with the problem.
The only thing I agree with Martin with is the one about the asset declaration, which is simply make it public. What I disagree with him is the suggestion that you walk to state publishing. Why should that be my burden? Why should the public sector, which is paid by my taxes, not put it in the newspaper and let all of us see that there's a publication of all the assets they have declared? And when they do the exit assets, as recommended by Mr. Ahin, they publish it too. So we will feel in. To that extent, I agree with him. What I don't agree with him is he himself tends to give so many examples of how we have done lifestyle audit in the past. Why have we deviated from it? He gave the example, the PV of being said, the Shraj. These things have been happening over the committee for the 79 elections. The laws are already there.
You have an idea why we have deviated?
Our culture. Look, there are big chiefs in this country who, if you are doing an investigation and they call you, you will slow down on the investigations. Let's face that fact. So if a person who is in the position decides to go ahead, whether it's called by the president or the chief, he should go ahead and do it. That's one point. The next point that is important to make is let's look at the countries in Africa who have got lifestyle audit laws. Kenya, Uganda, South Africa. Just check how they are scoring on the corruption index. There are people who poured in the streets in Kenya recently. Has the passing of those laws really changed anything? We need to talk about that. Next is I have an issue when we want to pass a law that is restricted to public officers. Now, we can recent publications again in the newspaper about people who have been alleged to be corrupt, including their wives, if the publication is right. Why are we restricting lifestyle to public officers? Because if all that I need to do is to steal money and pass it on to some relative, and I pretend to be, a
saint.
Yes, and then suddenly I don't get investigated. But there's a very, very important point we are missing, and I will be happy if Mr. Ahin will comment on that.
I'll come to him after you.
This country is replete with a lot of laws which create liabilities as a result of which I am taxed, but for which there is no result. Look, whenever you want to create an institution, and Rwanda is a perfect example. In Rwanda, before you bring any law to parliament to create an institution, you have to justify whether the income resulting from it to the state is more than the cost to the state. We pass laws without recourse to the cost to the state, and at the end of the day, we keep adding to the taxpayers' burden. I had occasion to give the Constitutional Day lecture in 2003, and I made this point. There are a lot of constitutional and legal bodies created, which is just costing, and I will go back again. Check whether all those institutions exist in Yoko, OSP, etc., have generated more recoveries for us than it is costing to pay them.
So we should scrap them.
No, I'm not saying we should. I'm saying that in adding to it, if we are passing a new law which will add more burden of creating institutions, which is going to cost me as a taxpayer, we should check whether it will lead to recoveries. If all it takes is a chief or a politician to interfere, then what is the point in passing the law? If you made the asset declared and it's open, it's very easy for us to name and shape. And before you move from my point, you have parliamentarians. Everybody knows how much it costs for you to contest an election. Are we saying that our parliamentarians, their lifestyle or their declared income is what took them into parliament? Let's ask the question. The first set of people that we can check all their lifestyle automatically are parliamentarians.
We should start from there.
Yes, and the laws there, we can check it now. The Auditor General and GRA and the rest can check all parliamentarians now. I am against a society that disempowers itself by telling itself that I don't have the right, let me pass some law, then we will debate forever, and we never act. And it is costing us. That is the point I'm making.
Who should lead the charge of investigating MPs, the lifestyle audit of MPs? Who should
I have said it. I have already made the point. So when you see, there's a by the speaker, if I read the newspaper right, the speaker said he's expecting a law. I'm saying that I'm not expecting any law. There is nothing preventing us from saying, can we have a committee of inquiry that looks at all parliamentarians, how they got into parliament and the cost of it. Again, there's a point Martin Pebu made that really, I wish he had not made that point. You see, that point is a nation which I weep for. Because he says that it is a conditionality of the IMF. First and foremost, did we need to go to IMF? And if we went to IMF and the only condition is for us to pass a lifestyle audit law so that we look good to the IMF, I have a problem with it. And so I draw attention to our history. In 2002, when we declared HIPIC, we had 7 laws that were all conditionalities for forgiving our debt. It included the Public Procurement Act, the Internal Audit Act, and one that many people forget, the Plant Breeders Act, which actually introduces GMO. We passed all these laws. How much has it saved this nation? I mean, we seem to think that all that we need to do is to be passing new laws because we went to IMF. Why should I wait for a government to mismanage the nation, take us to IMF, be giving conditionalities, and then I come and say that we have to pass the law because IMF gave us the conditionality? It is actually the very reason why I think we shouldn't.
Dr. Fosudote, I'm not sure you gave me an answer on really how to deal with the problem of so many institutions and departments. You do not think that we should scrap them. So how do we make them effective so they are also able to generate money for us?
The persons who are in charge should act. And if those who are in charge are not acting, we should call them to order. That's what I'm saying. A strong institution is led by a strong person who acts irrespective of whether he is called by a politician or a chief. That's the point I'm making. I mean, let me repeat
Which is a point that Mr. Marco made earlier.
A strong institution is not created by the passing of a law. A strong institution is created by a person who is in charge, who acts. Emil Short was commissioner for Sharaj. He hauled 4 of the then top men in Rawlings' regime, and that is how a powerful person, quote and unquote, like P.V. Obin, lost his job. Rawlings removed them. A white paper was published. Why can't we do that now? What is stopping anybody from doing that now? We give ourselves excuses for non-performance.
You heard Mr. Kwegu saying earlier that he thinks perhaps the difficulties that Ghanaians have gone through have made a lot of them timid.
But we've all gone through the difficulties. The point I'm making is that, look, for me, leadership has only 2 meanings, right? A person who acts irrespective of all circumstances and attain what he has to attain, and a person who finds excuses for not doing what he's supposed to do. What we are trying to do is just give ourselves the reason why we can't actually stop corruption, because we need a new law. Yes, you may want to pass a new law, but what about what is happening already? I'm asking you the question. I mean, what has the OSP recovered anything? Has Yoko, wait, and I'm not going in the line of, I'm not talking about OSP in the persona of a particular person. Has the office recovered any money? I want to know. Yes. Maybe.
They say 2.7 billion.
Good. That's very good. What I want to compare it with is how much has been spent on OSP during the period. Then let's go to Yoko. How much has been paid as salaries to Yoko, their buildings, ever since they were established? And how much have they recovered? You know, we miss this whole idea about economic growth. And I always make it simple. In this room, if you put the monies all of us have together and we put it together, that's our GDP, right? Good. We grow only when our returns is more than what we are spending. So far as I'm concerned, any institution created by the state which is meant to recover money is not recovering more than we are spending on it, we might as well forget it. That is why I don't want us to keep adding. That is the point.
And Mr. Ahin, you made a point earlier during your presentation that you touch people's private space when you want to talk about lifestyle audit. People say there's a thin line between really dealing with the greedy individuals in society and yet prying into the lives of others. Where do you stand on that?
You know, a lot has been said this morning, but before I respond to that, I would like to say a word about what my colleague just spoke about, the parliamentarians and having so many institutions and the cost-benefit effect of all these institutions. Listening to him gives me more reasons to believe we need this to be done, because instead of having 6 institutions employ so many people doing the same thing, hunting that same individual, which that individual must also be productive. I think it's rather more expensive than harmonizing it and making sure that a one-stop shop addresses all. But one thing I think we are all missing when we talk about lifestyle audit is the fact that we are thinking what the person declares versus what we know. The bigger portion of lifestyle audit is what you haven't declared. Because once you have the mandate, the authority, every lifestyle audit must be initiated on an authority. And that authority is the law. Once you have that mandate, you can now have the ability to look at the undeclared, the one that is not shown. That is the bigger portion of the work itself. Using data analytics, forensics, to now spool and be able to show what they haven't declared. Then you can find the gaps.
When the president got elected, one of the things he said, and I'm talking about President John Mahama, was that he was going to ensure that his people declare their assets. And eventually he had to even extend the date for them. Up till now, we don't really have any public, I could be corrected if I'm wrong, information on whether or not they did it, and those who didn't, there's any punishment for them. How do you think that fuels the perception of what some of you said earlier, that we pretend to be dealing with corruption, but we're not?
Yeah, transparency is key. And we cannot initiate policies or measures and not see it through to the end. Just like Mr. Data said, you can have all these laws, but if...
I think that impression has to be corrected. He gave an ultimatum, and to the best of my knowledge, I think the ultimatum was kept. The problem is not about the ultimatum. The problem is whether the assets declared are open for us to see.
Yeah,
Some people fail to meet the deadline. Yeah, so a few people, and it was reported.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to them.
And that's where the transparency I spoke about comes in. You cannot just openly tell us one thing and go quiet about it. Then you don't have the trust to follow through things from your audience. So if it's been done and people have been met the deadline, then we would also expect to see something or hear something around it going forward. But transparency is key in building trust. And so all that we are saying this morning and all this talk about lifestyle audit is to enhance accountability and transparency and to reduce fraud. Look, the three key elements that drive fraud are opportunity, threat, and rationalization. When those three things come to play, everybody will commit fraud. Rationalization, everybody is doing it, so why not? I mean, they are driving flashy cars, nobody is chasing them. People will be inspired to commit fraud. Opportunity, where internal controls are not strong, people take advantages. Okay, and incentivized. You are incentivized to do it because we'll give you the glory you deserve for looking good in all those assets. So those are key elements, and we need to factor all those in coming up with means to address this issue.
Means to address this, let me again acknowledge those who are supporting us have this conversation. State Housing Company, thank you so much for being a part of us. Piva Drinks, thank you as well for supporting this conversation. King Furniture for your beautiful chairs. Thank you for being with us as well. And Tilabadi Beach Hotel for the refreshment. Thank you for supporting this. But I want to come to you, Dr. Dorte. Really, how do we get Shiraj Yoko, Office of Special Prosecutor, and the rest to coordinate properly to deal with this issue? Which of these institutions should even lead in dealing with this?
You wouldn't like my suggestion. And when he's being too diplomatic by saying...
As in, Mr. Ahin is being diplomatic?
Yes, by saying that because of the reasons I've given, a number of institutions, they need to be streamlined. Essentially, what he's saying is that a lot of them have to be collapsed. That's essentially what he's saying. So if there is one that we need to empower to do lifestyle audit, among other things, let's create one very strong one. For example, and that's all the point I have made. The plethora of institutions, I can bet you this. 3 years from now, if you go ahead with this lifestyle audit, which I'm finding out is an IMF conditionality, which actually even disappoints me more. Why we want to do it because an IMF...
Unfortunately, you found yourself there.
Well, but are we happy that we went there?
You're obviously not happy, and a number of us are not.
If that is it, then let us face the fact that we are making it a routine passing of the law because IMF asks us to do that. Then I'm okay with it.
Not because we necessarily
That's
want
the
to deal with the
impression I got.
problem.
So, yes, not necessarily because we want to solve a problem. That's why I keep saying that we pretend to be solving a problem. Right? So, what normally will happen is that then the bill will go to Parliament, then we water it down. Just go back to Whistleblowers Act. What we did to it. Go back to Freedom of Information. We send the bills to Parliament and we end up destroying the very power that we want to give to the people. So we would then say that we have checked the box. We have passed a law on lifestyle audit, and then 10 years' time, somebody will come with another conditionality, and we have a bill. I have always made this point. Should we go to IMF or should we not go to IMF? I don't mind whether we go or we don't go.
That would depend on the state of your economy and how you manage it.
I'm coming. We should.
But you're Pan-Africanist.
Let me finish. I don't mind if we decide to go or we don't go. But let me make my point. You will understand. And this is not the first time I'm making this point. But if we decide to go, we should all agree, both parties, on how we go to IMF. If we decide not to go, then we should all agree on how not to go. But for a country that has gone to IMF 18 times, each time promising not to go, and going and being given conditionalities, I just gave you that for 2003. And who is hosting a whole program just so we can satisfy IMF to pass a law which we will whistle down, which we will not enforce? What is the point? Look, we should be a serious people. If we want to audit people's lifestyle, all we need to do is to amend one of those laws in addition and empower Yoko, GRA, whoever of them of the existing institution. I'm saying I am totally against creating a new institution because it burdens the public purse. And say, in addition, these are the ingredients of lifestyle. Empower private auditors to do it. And I also recommend you extend it to private people because lifestyle is about how a person behaves in relation to his declared income. If somebody is not whistleblowing, you may not even know that the person is having some different lifestyle. How do I know the cost of Martin Pebu's, how do you call this hat that you wear? It's possible. Yeah, it's possible it is very, very expensive and he looks very ordinary. And therefore, we need to be checking his lifestyle. Look, it is, unless somebody gives us that information, and if we get that information, we decide, don't pass a lifestyle audit law that kills it, like you did to the asset declaration. We made this argument, we declare assets, that is sealed. What is its use?
Let's publish it. We'll be going to the audience very shortly, but let me ask you this. When you talk about empower, are you talking about, for instance, prosecutorial powers?
No, then you are not understanding me. I'm not saying we have to empower. We already have the power. We are not
you mentioned empower recently.
Yes, I'm saying
just a few minutes ago.
Ahin is being too diplomatic. If it is just lifestyle or this specifically we want to mention, let's give that power to just one of the institutions and collapse the other institutions. That's the one that he is trying to be diplomatic about. You are not understanding the basic.
No. I understood what you said. I just wanted to get clarity on what you meant by empower.
This affects you. Don't allow the public sector to be creating institutions that taxes you for which there is no result. Period.
Fair point. Mr. Kwebu, perhaps you want to come in briefly and then we'll come to the audience. I believe there will be a lot of questions and contributions that you answer as well. You also get the opportunity to come in. Very briefly, we'll have to go to the audience.
Okay. Yeah, so what I see is that, look, I don't believe in this collapse of the institutions. Like you see, currently, the main institution doing the lifestyle audit and the asset declaration law is a tool that helps in the lifestyle audit, okay?
Please use your mic.
Then what's wrong with it? So it has to be, that's a problem because I almost have to put it in my mouth. All right. So currently, under our law, Shrike does most of the lifestyle audits. And as I said, that's the, let's call the rudimentary one. Rudimentary because you see Mr. Ahin is saying that he wants a more modern one so that apart from what we've seen, the discrepancy between the declared asset form and what somebody has come to report, Mr. Ahin is saying that we should do a full investigation of the person. So you see that one, we need an extra law for it, right? So my point is that we can't put all the institutions under one. I'm also talking economics. I believe in division of labor. So from the little economics I understand, look, if it comes to supervision and efficiency, if let's say there are 2,000 workers, and you have one overall head. I think generally, using the principle of division of labor, that institution, all things being equal, will be less efficient than if you divided these 2,000 workers into at least 4, where they have 4 heads, so that each head is supervising 500. I'm thinking that a head who is supervising 500 workers would lead to better efficiency than a head who is supervising 2,000 workers. It's division of labor. So I don't believe that we should necessarily collapse institutions.
Mr. Ahin, very briefly, please, I need to go to the audience, Doc.
No, I want to understand him, whether he means we should share this responsibility over Yoko, OSP, and Shiraj, or we should create a new institution.
Create a new one, because I can tell you on authority that Shiraj is overburdened currently. You see, somebody went and reported. Let me show you. It's Fourth Estate. Manasseh is last 2 years, Manasseh and Co. went and reported over how many public officers this lifestyle audit, failure to declare assets. As far as I'm aware, to date, Shiraj is not done. As far as I'm aware, Shiraj is still not done. Shiraj is overstretched. Human rights, too many functions for Shiraj. So we'll break it down and have a specific specialist institution. You see what Mr. Ahin is saying? Even what he's saying is a game changer. He's saying, apart from what we can see, I mean, let's repeat the example. I'm saying that the rudimentary lifestyle audit we do, this is what we do. Beatrice, we've been seeing that Beatrice has 6 cars in her house. Then we hear that, but the Shiraj document has 4. So when the person goes, he's going to say that I see 6 cars, but the document with Shiraj has 4. That's how we limit it. Mr. Ayin is saying that when we finish reporting, it's not just about the 2 extra cars, but the whole of Beatrice's lifestyle, right? And I'm saying that one, it appears we need extra law for it. So we need specialists. That's what I mean.
Sure, Dr. I have to come back to you because I know you still disagree, but I want to get a brief comment of Mr. Ahin before we go to the audience in about 30 seconds, please.
Thanks, Beatrice. What I want to say is Singapore has done it, and they've done it so well. Kenya failed because of interference and the lack of independence in terms of the institution undertaking this lifestyle audit. We can do it.
Can I have one comment? Just one sentence. Look, Mr. Ahin, is it possible that every time we cite Singapore, is it because it's so small? Because when I went to Singapore, I have this joke that, oh, seriously? Like we say, you can urinate around Singapore.
I'll have to come back to you, Mr.
It's a small place. Is it possible that that's how come the laws work? Because there's no place to hide. Singapore is a very small place. You can Google it and see. Very small.
Yes,
so it's like one big family.
No, beyond the size, the culture is key. Okay.
Which is a point Dr. Alfosu Dote made earlier. Let's come to the audience now. There are a number of questions and I believe contributions. Please, your name and tell us what you have.
Well, my name is Abusuapenim Kwame Boating. And I may sound a bit controversial this morning. I happen to be a private legal practitioner anyway. But this morning I've been listening to what everybody has been saying. And I suspect that as a nation we are a bit confused. The basis of this, my suspicion, is this. You see, we were a group of people living here on this land. And then somebody came from somewhere to come and colonize us. And then he brought his administrative structure and superimposed it on us. And left us with that structure. We've continued with that structure up to today. You know what is coming out of this? Most of the laws that we have governing us and trying to even correct some of these anomalies are what we deem as international best practices. They have very little reference to our culture. You see, when you come to our culture, me, I'm an Abusuapenim. If I summon any of my members, they run and come to me. If I ask them to do A, they do it. Same, take it to chieftaincy. They will tell you, at the end of the day, if you just oppose that on our current laws, won't it amount to corruption? It is. But that is our culture. You see, let me just move on to even our faith. Most of us are Christians. I cross-checked and about 72% or so of the current population are Christians. Critical among the pillars of our faith is what we call miracles. Now we believe that you can pray and instantly certain things will happen, including wealth. So at the end of the day, if I get to the church on a Sunday morning, the young man has driven a brand new BMW into the building. He comes, time for Adansidie. He joins the queue and praises God and says that God has opened a certain door and this is the results. And then he gives 10,000 as donation to what God has done for him. You know what will happen? There will be a thunderous applause and it will be followed by praises and worship. That is the situation we find ourselves in. So you see, within our minds, there are blocks and a lot of things in there that are fighting even our current situation. So we need to unlearn and relearn. And most of these things can be done maybe starting at the kindergarten level. And for the people of our generation, because of some of these things in our mind, I don't know what will happen. Now we are talking about laws. Lifestyle. Now, who is going to pass these laws? Is it the same parliament that Ofosu just described? Now, when they get the laws passed, who is going to implement? Is it the Commissioner General? Who is the Commissioner General? Is it the man who has been appointed by a president whose prosecution of an election, as we speak now, volumes of money poured in, cannot under any situation be justified? That is where we find ourselves. So at the foundation is even trust. And why are even people in opposition always being hunted for their lifestyle? Why is it not people within government? So you see, long and short, the basis of this whole thing is trust. We need to really pay attention to our customs and traditions as well. He pointed out, you have been made the Commissioner General or whatever. If you decide to get somebody and start investigating and a big chief calls you, immediately something will happen. So please, let's not ignore all these aspects. It's a very complex situation where every angle is interconnected. So if we want to really resolve this problem, we should look at that whole architecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please. Yes. Okay, Prof.
Good morning. My
Good
name
morning.
is Enoch Enchi. And listening to my colleagues speaking, I have learned a lot. I think that this is a learning process for all of us. We'll never stop learning. How about getting lifestyle auditing a home? Because we've been talking about it, but it's not sitting anywhere. So can we have the Office of the Special Prosecutor and lifestyle auditing? Then we know that there is a home for lifestyle auditing, because as we've been told, Shraj is overburdened by what they do. As it stands now, we have a situation of marginal returns. There's a fixed input of corruption. And we keep adding the variable input of more people, more institutions. In the end, we've reached the apex and coming down because we are not getting the results that we are looking for. So number one, let's have that home for lifestyle auditing at one of these institutions. Then everybody knows that we are going to this place to talk about that. But the founder of modern day management, Peter Drucker, talked about culture that is strategy for breakfast. And that has been the biggest problem of our being here, because we have a culture of gift giving. Now it has become the culture of gift demanding. If you go to a chief, you need to go with something. If you go to the church, you need to go with something. If you go to the mosque, you need to go with something. If you go to any place, they expect something from you. But where do you get that something from? I have contested for election before. And do you know how much money you need to contest for election?
The CDD has made it clear for us.
Yes. It's huge, because the expectation is everywhere. You need to pay money. Now, that person who has paid that money comes, and they are very smart. You think politicians are stupid? They are very smart. They come in and you tell them to declare their assets. It's simple. I have 2 cars. I have 1 plot. Sometimes they have even sold the land to contest. But I'm going to put in that paper that I have that land. And by the time I leave office, I'll make sure I have that land. You see, so we need to watch our culture of not being honest with ourselves, make sure that the institutions have a home, and then people have the free will to also go and tell what is happening. Thank you.
Professor Nchi, thank you very much. I think we have Mr. Wingobit.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Makobodi, you wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Please, if you can talk briefly, I'll come to you, Mr. Ngobet.
Okay, that's
please.
great.
No, okay, very well. I think that a lot has been said about the culture and I think I'm not too old, but I disagree with the assertion that our culture promotes corruption. It is the abuse of our culture. Every one of us, particularly if you're 40 years and above, if you went home with even a pencil that is not bought for you by your parent, they raise questions. The next morning, they'll march you to the school and return the pencil. What do we see now? People now, parents are now even encouraging their wards to bring something home. That is the problem. People talk about the fact that, well, gift giving and gift demanding. A professor just talked about it. Please, our chiefs, the drinks that we took, those times you took to the chief's palace, those drinks were not for the chief's person. They were for the community. The chief's palace was the first point of call when any stranger got into the community. And the chief ought to cater for that person. When children were missing, they took them to the chief's palace. The chiefs would have to fend for them. So provisions were made, and the chiefs held things that now chiefs were supposed to hold land in trust. Chiefs are selling this land twice and thrice. So it is the abuse of our culture. The call must not be abandon our culture. The call must be to reform the culture. Let's go back to our ancestors and find out what we were doing right. And then finally,
Mr. Bode, I think you can actually sit down.
No, finally, let me just say that the issue about the collaboration, the issue about the institution, it's not about the plethora of institution. It's about the lack of institutional collaboration that is hurting us. So it is a lot easier for people to shift cases around and never get resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That wasn't to let you finish your point, though. It was just so you could be a bit more relaxed and for our cameras to get you. But yes, I think Mr. Wingobit wanted to come in. Thank you very much for your point, sir.
All right, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I just want to comment. The two lawyers, they've said something. One says we need a new law. One says we need to amend and to give power to the existing institutions. I just want to bring us back to this. You remember the previous government? There was a law that they passed to luxurious vehicles. Okay. Now, when this law was passed, when it came to implementation, we couldn't implement it. Then this property rate as well. They said the GRA were supposed to collect property rate. When you go around the country and you see Cantonment, Labone, Airport Hills, those buildings are owned by the politicians. So they will make sure that they will sabotage it. You cannot implement those laws. And as you said, you rightly said, why would a state institution investigating somebody and the chief will have to pick a phone and call? Does it mean that we are now awarding criminalities? And I think that the person must be honest, get like Dominion used to be. Say, no, I have sworn the Constitution. I have an allegiance to do what I'm supposed to do. So I cannot take your call. So we need more strong institutions and not strong individuals. I think one of you said that we need the leader of the institution must be strong. But the institution must be strong. You are using the powers of the institution. You are using the laws of the institution to do what you are supposed to do and do it rightly. So for me, I think that it is from the conscience. People that we are putting there should not go attacking people or kissing people because I have a personal problem with such a person. I think I have said it. That if you are going to do lifestyle auditing, you should not have anything personal against the person, but do according to the law. And I think that is what we should be expecting. And not because you are not in power, we are not in power, we shall deal with you. No. But what does the law say? And that's what we should go by. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We can take one more. Yes.
My name is Ebo Bachman, and I would want to contribute to, I think, what we are discussing. Very important topic. We need more of such topics. You see, corruption is a special canker, and if you like, a special cancer. And so, therefore, we will need a special law to deal with it. I don't think we've been successful with the kind of laws we have. That is why we are still gathering, thinking about how to solve the problem. This year, Ethiopia passed a law, January this year, they call it Asset Recovery Proclamation number 1364/2025. And what does the law do? This law allows authorities to confiscate unexplained assets or disproportionate lifestyle if the person cannot reasonably explain the source of their worth. That is a serious country that wants to fight corruption. And in the same law, the law goes back 10 years, retroactive law, that goes back 10 years. That if you, in the last 10 years, you acquired assets of a certain value, you would have to explain how you made it. And that is what is lacking in our system. So if we really want to fight corruption, I believe it is important to have a special law to deal with the issue of corruption. Our laws have failed us, and therefore, let's see the possibility of coming out with more proactive laws, laws that will punish those who have been stealing the future of this country. I've always said that whenever someone steals, he steals the future of this country, and therefore we need stronger laws. Our laws must be punitive enough to as it were, deter others from even thinking of engaging in corruption.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bachman, for sharing that thought with us. But let's pick one more. Mr. Kwibu, I know you want to come in, but let me pick one more before I come back here.
Yes.
And let me say that we are joined by governance expert Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah. He'll be sharing his thoughts with us very shortly, and we'll bring you that bit also about the former President John Agyekum Kufuor, that exclusive word as well. Yes, so please, let's pick the last one from here before we come back.
Yeah, thank you very much for putting this program together, TV3. I just want to correct some misconceptions.
Please use your microphone.
By my good friend and lawyer, Dr. Martin Kwibu, that is it Rawlings's regime that is the reason why most of the Ghanaians are timid? It is not so. As far back in 1960, there was an international conference that Kwame Nkrumah held, and anthropologists studied the characteristics of Ghanaians, and they came to realize that we are timid. And Kwame Nkrumah said it, that Ghanaians, yes, people do say we are timid, but when Ghanaians get angry, they can go extra mile to ensure that things are actually done. So I just want to put that one on record. Second issue is that during Rawlings's regime, as far back 1979 to 1988 thereabout, Rawlings did a lot of these lifestyle audit. And many Ghanaians do complain a lot that, Rawlings was just trying to collapse people's businesses as a result of some of these style audit. And so the history is there. So I go back to support the argument being made by Dr. David Dotte that we have all the institutions, only that the institutions are not working to that perfection. And so there is no need for us to be adding institutions and upon institutions where those that we do have are not working to that perfection. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that word. Professor, I did say that we do have Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah, who is a governance expert. He's joined us on the panel. Prof, you're welcome. Please, that's your microphone on your right side. Yes. Thank you so much. So I suppose that you've been monitoring, and indeed you have your own thought as well regarding a lifestyle audit and whether that's what we need now and a law. Just share with us your thoughts.
Thank you very much. Let me apologize for poor communication between myself and the organizers. Anyway, I'm happy to be here. This issue of corruption, for those of us who've been around the past 30 years, we have to revise our notes. Unfortunately, I didn't hear the earlier comments, but let me say this. For the past 30 years in this country, we have seen several attempts, institutions being created, new laws being passed. We signed a lot of international conventions and protocols. And I'm not convinced that today we are better off with less corruption and graft than we were 30 years ago. So we have to begin to question ourselves, Why is that the case? Will more institutions help us? Maybe we need to create a super OSP? Or do we have to create a superior SHRAJ? Yoko? I don't know. It baffles me. And I am beginning to think seriously, and I like the point I just made, this idea of a lifestyle audit. I'm beginning to feel strongly that the problem does not lie with institutions per se, even though we make the argument we need to strengthen institutions. And I can tell you, over the past 30 years, I've seen so many workshops that we call capacity building for state institutions. I've seen so many conferences about corruption and how we ran away from that. And I'm seriously questioning whether these institutions are going to help. I'm beginning to think seriously that one thing we are leaving out of the discussion so far has been the human agency, the human person that operates the institutions, that leads the institutions, and on and on and on. Not the many laws that we need to have. Because I think this problem lies with the character of individuals. And when you talk of the character of the individuals, we are talking about the integrity of public officials. And that integrity comes from the person's makeup, how the person was brought up. Look, in our days, I guess I have to put it this way, because I'm getting older now. In our communities, if we found a thief, if the thief belongs to my house, my family will be shunned. If you are going to look for a girl to marry, they will say, oh, that house, they are thieves. You don't go there. It's like murder. So there's value. You see, the idea of value doesn't feature in these discussions. And when you talk of values, of course, it's related to integrity. What values do we have today that will make someone think twice, 4 times, 5 times before they steal or they defraud or they get corrupted? What values are there? That, for me, is more troubling because I do not see how additional institutions, capacity building workshops, and conventions, I think we have to examine how we bring up ourselves, our children, what kind of education do we give them. I wanted to add the churches, but as I sit here, I have serious reservations about the leadership of churches when it comes to morality, ethics, and those kind of things, because most of the so-called men of men themselves are very corrupt in many ways. So I don't have any hope. Them leading. Of course, I have to admit there are a few of them that give moral teachings which we need to embrace. But overall, these are not people that look for leadership when it comes to these matters. So our education, what are we teaching our kids? What makes it possible for kids today to go to examination hall, prepare with something in their pocket so they can have an easy way out? See, these are all things we do not examine. By looking across the board and seeing how corruption is not just at the elite level, even though that's where the danger is, because the biggest things happen up there, right from daycare. If the schools are doing it, if head teachers are doing it, even in hospitals, when public hospitals, at times people pay to get certain services. Otherwise, you'll be delayed forever. So I am seriously questioning the human agency. Human beings will call Ghanaians. For that matter, you can say Africans. So corruption is everywhere. But if we look at our unique circumstance, I am very concerned about the absence of values that make people behave the way they do.
Let me use this opportunity to say a big thank you to the companies that have made this insightful conversation possible. State Housing, Piva Drinks. You should actually get some of Piva Drinks of your choice. It comes in all sort of flavors. They come in variety of flavors, like I just said, and can be found in all supermarkets. King Furniture, if you see me sitting on this plus panel, the chairs you're sitting on provided by King Furniture, and also to the Labadi Beach Hotel, also for supporting us and for the catering services. But Prof, let me ask you one more before I come to Lawyer Martin Pebu, who wanted to make a quick interjection. You are concentrating on the individual, and you've even gone ahead to go to our homes and our schools. Earlier, Mr. Ahin made some strong 4 points in dealing with it or looking at it. He talked about the individual, which falls within what you've spoken about. He also talked about the auditor, the law, and the organizations, the need for them to be independent. What do you have to say about that before I get that quick word from Mr. Kwibu?
I think we can look at the structures we have created and how they function. So when it comes to institutions and the laws, sure, I'm for enforcement. I mean, my brother Pebu, I like the way he's dressed up today, by the way, I have to say. Yes. The institutions must work. So I agree with those of us who say we need to build institutions, give them the capacity to do their job. I'm not dismissing that at all. But I'm making the argument that for me, for 30 years in this kind of business, more and more, I'm beginning to question the quality of individuals that we put in positions. That's the point. Because look, at times I get shocked. Somebody will wear white outfit every day, and then in the end, we realize that the one who was posing as an angel or a prophet or whatever has committed some these things that even but
what has a white apple got to do with people's...
Because if you have good character and you are portraying yourself as angelic, your behavior and your actions reflect that. And there's a serious disconnect between those who preach anti-corruption and their own actions. You see, let's face it, there's a certain strong element of hypocrisy in the lives of us. Because, look, for what I've known and seen, when I see politicians, parliamentarians, and many other people preaching these kind of things, I laugh. Because I may know the person in some private ways, and I say, look, is this the same person that I know? So I'm saying the hypocrisy. Look, when public officials come to stand on a platform and talk about what they're going to do with those who commit offense, corruption, whatever, you wait and watch. There are so many cases in our country, so many cases that pop up, and just like a balloon, you puncture it and it disappears. So what do you tell me about this? So my thing is that if we want to be serious, first we need to eschew the hypocrisy with which we address national issues. And then, of course, we have to examine the character of individuals we place. Unfortunately, in politics, we do not subject people to the character test, except in Singapore, where I followed their system, and before I become the prime minister, you have gone through a certain mail and examinations. So, look, let's be serious with what we want to do. Because for me, hypocrisy is too much. We are not honest people. We smile at each other. We turn around and we are different. That is unfortunately where I've come to. Because I've seen so much in our country, and I'm disgusted by individuals who are supposed to do better and do nothing.
Quite strong words there, Mr. Pikbu, very, very briefly. And then we'll go to former President John Ejekon Kufuor.
Okay. Yeah. So... Hello. Yeah, so it was just to, number one, buttress the point. The contributor, I think he's taking leave of us, maybe briefly. But what he read, the matter of if we cannot attribute any property you have to income, loan, inheritance, etc., we have it. That's Article 286, Clause 4. Let me read. It says, any property or assets acquired by a public officer after the initial declaration required by clause 1 of this article, and which is not reasonably attributable to income, gift, loan, inheritance, or any other reasonable source, shall be deemed to have been acquired in contravention of this Constitution. This is 1992, and this is not our first time. From Kwame Nkrumah's time, we've had various laws like this. The reverse burden, we had it. You hear Republic versus Akenya. Akenya was one of the deputy, Nkumsa was Akenya was a minister. Then Nkumsa was a deputy speaker of parliament, etc. We've had reverse burden in the past. So we just want to do Sankofa. And then my good friend, Dr. Agbe, you see, when I was talking about the timidity, you see, I said, we'll leave it to the sociologists. So I didn't claim to know too much. Okay.
Thank you so much. And of course, I'll come back to you to get your further recommendations and your final word. But I did say that we have also had the former president, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, sharing his exclusive views with us on this. Watch this. Your Excellency, you were giving the example of the, for instance, director who is not paid well, and as a result is taking bribes from here and there, and the need for...
that's what is called bureaucracy.
Yes, the need for law enforcement agencies to ensure that they are able to catch people like him who are naturally greedy, those who are greedy. You must be disappointed that year in, year out, the Auditor General comes out...
If I weren't disappointed, I wouldn't talk like I'm talking.
So you are so the question is, you must be disappointed that year in, year out, Auditor General's reports come and we don't see prosecution of such individuals.
Please, the Auditor General report comes, and how many people get the reports to read them, to know them, and to even suggest the ways to tackle, the way of correcting whatever wrongs are taking place? How many people?
May not be a lot, but at least you have the Parliament Account Committee breaking it down.
How soon after they say the wrongs that might be unearthed get exposed? Auditor Generals, if you've really followed the way they... So I remember in our time, there was government had to fashion the internal audit reporting, which tend to have the time factor. Suppose there's wrong happen now, they can quickly expose the wrong, and then the solution is quickly prescribed. The Auditor General is if you like, the macro, the overall thing. And by the time the Auditor General, who is Auditor General for the entire public sector system, come to grips, there's such a lapse of time. By the time it gets to the parliamentary, whatever committee, discussions, and then it gets there, and then the multi-party democracy system, which is also very difficult to work, even though it's the best, I subscribe to that. There are so many challenges.
You think they are intentionally delayed, and is another way of...
They are not intentionally delayed. No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's virtually inbuilt, because by the time the Auditor General has had the opportunity to examine the budgets of all the ministries and departments and to work up, it takes time. And I do not know the staff strength of the Auditor General's office.
Because of that, people feel that we are not dealing with individuals. We've made corruption very attractive.
No, when you say we, if you are talking of the society generally, I may go somewhere with you, but I would also say perhaps we are assuming we are such an advanced society. We are not. We are a very young society coming up, and we must admit to that. So, again, through the thinking, thought processes, we come to how do we arrange our affairs? I told you just a short while ago that in my government we set up the Internal Audits Authority. So the departments and ministries are audited individually before the Auditor General. department comes in for the overall thing.
So how do we deal, the question is, how do we deal with corruption to make it unattractive?
Corruption must be tackled right from the scratch. Pay the people well, commensurate pay, living wage, so they are not forced to try to top up. 2, allow the economy to grow. Let the economy be productive. And that's where the ideal of public-private partnership. Let the public sector accept it must be the infrastructure for the development of the private sector. And we should stop being petty when somebody is doing well with his business. We go envious, and then the pulling down syndrome comes in. Look, he's driving this car, and why one man is doing this and that, so we destroy him. Doesn't help. I read recently that Dangote, everybody is citing him. You know, he's done a refinery, perhaps the biggest on the whole continent of Africa. When he was developing it, just a few years back, 2017 or so, it got to a point where he fell short of capital for the investment of about $2.something billion. To their credit, the Nigerian government helped him with that money to complete. And so now, Dangote, when you are counting the whole world's rich people, 30 of them, Dangote is part of it.
Yes.
We must learn to empower our people here too. Somebody who can do it legitimately. If public can help, let the public help.
Let me ask you this question, Your Excellency, and it's still talking about holding people accountable.
Yes.
Right now, as we speak, people are concerned about those who are supposed to face justice and are not facing, for instance, Ken Oforiatta. What do you think about the fact that a special prosecutor is asking him?
I do not know the detail there. Main thing is, let's study, let the authorities in charge assemble the facts, put the matter before the authority to prosecute, and let the courts listen, hear them out, and if he's guilty, let the law deal with it.
Would you encourage him to come down to Ghana? People are asking him to come. If you don't fear anything, why are you not coming, even after efforts of trying to bring you back to the country?
But don't personalize this interview to that extent. I'll be with corruption generally must be tackled. I want us to do an in-depth study of it, to fashion the policies that would enable the systems we've created to catch the greedy fat cats and to society to deal with it. Don't let me descend to the individual. Oh, this man, so let him come and... No, I've told you, corruption is so rife within the system. The thief, yes, was caught red-handed. The policeman that went to catch him. The police system has a reputation. We all know it. So it might be corrupt. Take the full advices to the courts. The courts too have so handicapped now, so they also have a reputation. So sometimes delays in administering justice, and you sit back. Even some of the judgments, you wonder, have they come from objective as a trial? So if you are not careful, you victimize or persecute. Corruption has become endemic in the entire society. And the way out is what I'm concerned. Let's analyze the whole thing to the grassroots.
What do you think then of a lifestyle audit?
Lifestyle, again, I'll be careful, because that's where the pull him down system counts. You see, be beautifully dressed. Is it golden locket around your neck? Look at the diamond glittering in your... This young girl, where did she get all these things? Driving a beautiful car. No, she must have done something. So, hey, where did you get the thing? I won't go that way. Not too long ago, the banking confidentiality in Ghana was breached. People could walk into a bank and then demand. This man with a credit of 50,000, where did he get the money from? And you know the costs to the nation of that violation that took place. So I want to be careful with that.
So then how do we deal with it? Because proponents of lifestyle audits claim that people a lot of the time live ordinary lives, and yet when they get into politics or public service, suddenly we see them amass all sorts of wealth.
Those people making this claim, have they produced evidence for you to see that they've really studied, or they're just looking at the outward forms to pounce on you?
Oh, some have provided evidence. For instance, the current Attorney General claiming he has evidence surrounding certain individuals.
Claiming he has.
Certain individuals, he's saying mistakes money.
Please, I haven't heard. If the Attorney General, as a lawyer, has the evidence, let him take those people to court for the courts to decide these people are thieves. They deserve to be imprisoned or punished. Don't let's judge people outwardly like that.
So how would you want us to go about the idea of a lifestyle audit if anybody was entertaining that?
I've told you I would be very cautious of that. I'll be very, very cautious of lifestyle audits. And who is the auditor in any case? Like you go around, you want me to stop you? Hey, lady, where did you get your beautiful shoes? Look at your nails, the neck. You want me to what would be your dignity as a human? You get me? And I put myself up there, not tackling myself first. Am I entitled to be your boss in this way?
And you just watched right there excerpt of a long, wide-ranging conversation, exclusive conversation that we had with former President, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor. Of course, you'd expect that we'll bring you more of this exclusive conversation on other matters, on TV, on our social media platforms, and all other platforms. I'll be coming to the panel very quickly to get your preliminary thought on what the former President just told us and your final word. But I need to get back to the Assistant Auditor General, Mr. Samuel Frimpong Manso. You've just got some additions, some comments to add.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. There is no doubt that this has been very insightful and interesting. And I'll touch on two things. The first one is on the Article 286, where we have a number of personalities that are mentioned that are supposed to declare their assets and their liabilities, where it stops from mentioning those below who are also working in public service. And so you may assume that it is only those who are at the top there that have to be investigated if we have to. So we need to broaden that scope to include whoever works within the public sector, for instance. We don't also have to forget about those who are not working in the public service, because they also liaise. If somebody wants to get a contract to provide something to the public service, it's a private person, all right, but we also can extend that investigation to that person. Lastly, what I'll touch on is the entire Ghanaian populace, because if we don't change our attitude and we don't become patriotic, then there is nothing that we can do, because how many are the people that the laws mention that they should file their assets and their liabilities forms? Very few of them. But a lot of us are also complicit. We can look on or we can benefit. And so we need every Ghanaian to be patriotic before we can fight this corruption. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frimpong Manso. And yes, let me perhaps come back to you. Let me start with you, Prof. If you can tell us your thoughts briefly on what the former president just told us and perhaps your recommendations.
Well, you know, the former president is a man of experience, and as you get older, you become more cautious about what you do. So I'm not surprised he's cautioning how far we go with the lifestyle audit, and which is true, because you may get a crazy system that will simply target innocent people. So everything that you seek to do to address this, there's always a cautionary note that you have to take into account, so that you work out the mechanisms in such a way that you mitigate the real danger of simply targeting somebody because he's appearing so nice and driving the best of cars. But the fact still remains that if you set up a system where there is a decent way of finding out, investigating people's actions and behavior or acquisitions and all, before you come public, you have gotten your facts. But rushing to simply attack someone because the person is driving a Range Rover in itself may be dangerous, you see. So I think the caution is well made, and I can agree with that. Nonetheless, there are obvious reasons for us to doubt somebody's ability, especially if you get into public office. We know that the private sector must also be monitored and for money laundering and other kinds of things. But there's a vast difference between the public sector and the private sector. If you are going to the public sector, you are going to take charge of the assets and wealth of the people. Of the people. And you do not go there to simply enrich yourself at the expense of the people. And in fact, the lifestyle audit we're talking about should extend to the execute audit of public projects. Look, I wonder whether there's a deliberate effort by the road sector of our country to build roads that can be washed away in 2 years so they can get more money to build the same kind of road 10 times over the next 10 years. Have you wondered how as we live in this country today, you cannot go 10 kilometers straight on any decent road and feel great about the driving. We are building bad roads. We all see it. But when we hear of the budget allocations for these roads, we know there's something wrong. So who is that person who goes to inspect the road and passes it before the contractor is paid? You see, we are losing a lot of money, not through somebody taking millions in contract, but simply executing public projects. That collusion between contractors and public officials who are in charge of that. We see this every day. That's why I'm saying that the way I see it, I'm not going to go back to the human agency, but I have serious reservations about the ethics of public officers. We don't have ethics, and nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about ethics. You know, and for me, that's what the danger is. Institutions we can create, laws you can make, enforcement will try. Even though when you try, your own people will come in the night and kneel before you and bring some big people to beg you. We know all this, and we behave as if we don't. See, that hypocrisy is what kills me.
Point well made, Mr. Ahin. Your brief comments on what the former president said and your recommendations as well.
Yeah, the former president spoke about his concern when it comes to data protection, using people's personal data, and also witch hunting. I think it was clear. He was talking about the fact that we should tread with caution simply because it could be abused and people's personal information could be out there. But look, lifestyle audit works within the confines of our Data Protection Act. It's important. And which is why when I spoke earlier, I said you collect relevant data. Not everything that is not needed, you go for it and then it's all out there. And we need to respect the individual's privacy in as much as we are investigating or looking into their lifestyle. Having said that, I think there is a great value, a direct economic benefit in lifestyle audits. We should not miss that point. One, we could get back assets and money that has been stolen from the country. So there is a direct benefit. Beyond that, the mere fact of having a lifestyle audit law is a deterrent to people. You know that this could come at you at any point in time. And I use myself as an example. I work for an organization where you could be picked at any point in time to go through a review. And not just you, your spouse, and all your children. You must produce all your bank account, all your assets, and it's thoroughly looked into. And if they find out that you have acquired something or invested somewhere you shouldn't have, it could lead to your dismissal. So this is the private sector. So it is there. And that's why I said for lifestyle audit to kick off, you need either a law or a contract. In our contract, you know that you could be subjected to this at any point. So they are mandated, they have the authority to initiate it. But where that authority is lacking, we should not confuse law with institutions. The first point is, let's have the authority to be able to initiate this.
Let's have the authority to be able to initiate this. Dr. Ofosu-Dorothy.
I think we all agreed we need lifestyle audit. My recommendation, and again, I understand why President Kufuor will be cautious. The older you get, the more cautious you are. And I'll be making a reference. I don't know whether Professor Jimandua will remember. But the point is, notwithstanding the caution, we need it. I have emphasized over again that we don't need another institution. My recommendation will be amend the law by introducing lifestyle audit directly into YOCO's provisions. And if you take the look at the ambit of the powers of SHRAJ, they have human rights, they have administrative justice, and they have anti-corruption. If Martin is saying they are overburdened, and if you took away the anti-corruption from them and made it purely an YOCO function, then we have one central institution. I just want to emphasize, I'm against creating a new institution, not creating the law to make lifestyle audit. Having said that, there was something Awingobi said on the issue of a law that was passed and it looks like something very simple on what do you call it, property rate, where over the period we appeared to have attempted to take the power which was already ceded to the district assemblies back to the center. Now, it is a sign of a country which doesn't seem to know where it is going. So if somebody talks about Singapore as an example, I'm relating it to that. And is it because it is small? No. And I mean, without getting personal, we have an office in Singapore, and it's a country I go to very much. It's because they are disciplined and they have a strategy. So it has nothing to do with the size. They enforce what they want to enforce. And it's not only Singapore, it may look small. What about China? China is equal to, in terms of population, the size of Africa. They enforce the law. Ministers are even executed for being corrupt. In such a country, and the two countries show you how much discipline can result in growth, economic growth. It's one reason China is growing so fast. Why am I saying this? About 27 years ago, exactly 27 years ago, myself, Professor Jimabwedi, Emil Short, a few people came together to create Ghana Integrity Initiative. I was part of it. Please try and wrap up for us. Okay, but the idea was for private sector to push, hoping that all this corruption will end. Then subsequently, anti-corruption coalition, etc., etc. What has happened? When people don't enforce the law when they have the power, it doesn't matter when you want, you pass the law, you don't pass. Lastly, a society, a people, a corporation which has no strategy is part of somebody's strategy. If the only reason for passing an anti-corruption lifestyle audit is because IMF is asking us to do it, then we are checking a box and we are part of IMF's strategy. We must have our own strategy, why we need it, and do it properly and make sure it is enforced.
But the former president also talked about poor pay. Nobody has spoken about that as well. That if you pay people well, they will not be forced to top up.
No, I disagree. You see, when Lee Kuan Yew decided to pay people well, he also told them, but if you steal a peswa, and he jailed them, then they stopped. The fact that you pay people well doesn't mean they won't steal. If the person thinks that, haven't you heard stories about people whose wives have bought big bags and the rest? True or not, I don't know. But I understand those bags are costing $20,000 and all the rest. Those people are well paid. Look at their salary. It has got nothing to do with corruption. It's got everything to do with our taste or greed. That's what it is.
Let me say a big thank you once again. I'm coming to you very shortly, Mr. Kwebu. But let me say a big thank you once again to State Housing Company for supporting us. Piva drinks it should be your drink of choice for all special occasions. They come in different flavors and can be found in all supermarkets. Thank you very much, Piva, for supporting us. Piva drinks, King Furniture for these chairs you see right here, and also to Labadi Beach Hotel for our catering services today. I'm sure when you step out, you'll be able to taste something if you're joining us right here in the auditorium. Mr. Kwebu, please, your words.
Okay. So, President Kufuor's comments. I must say, I'm disappointed that when he came to Furiata, he says he doesn't know anything, he doesn't want to comment. That's the most important thing. So, you see, each time, look, let's be blunt with President Kufuor. Yeah, you know, some of these things, if we don't do, will not change. That's the very thing we've been talking about, the Ghanaian attitude. Nobody wants to bail the cat. How can you sit in Ghana, you want to contribute to this program, you say you don't know anything about the Oforiatta case? I mean, it's not. He
said he didn't want to go into individual
and so
cases.
that's why we're taking him on. You remember the last time he came, that was the same thing. He came and told us that we should vote for Baumia, and we told him that no, it's not on. So if he wants to come to the debate, he should come honestly, because these evasive answers and that will not take from him. It's better we speak the truth. When he was in government, it's true, his last days were not happy days at all. Okay, so he should be reminded that it's not everybody who embraces him as a good leader. No, rather what he's enjoying is that because it's been a while, the younger ones who don't know much, when you say Kufuor was a good leader, then they will imbibe. I lived under his regime. I won't count him as a very good leader.
Your recommendations
when
and
it
final
gets to
words.
him, then he'll know that he has to sit up. The last few days he has on this earth, he should be truthful to us as Ghanaians. I don't like that. Yeah.
Please, your recommendations.
Yeah, so recommendations. Well, I think we've all agreed across the table that we need a new laws. We need a new laws. Our laws are backward. Our laws are backward. Let's come together and do it. And then let's also mention this. Dr. Fosudote, the matter of the IMF. You see, IMF has come to help us because this conversation about improving the law on lifestyle audit, that's for us the asset declaration law, has been on for more than 20 years. This conversation has been on for more than 20 years. If you Google, you see a paper by CDD. I think that's in 2005. Even at the time they were passing the asset declaration law, you see in Parliament, people were talking that, hey, if you publish it, if you publish the, the assets, armed robbers will come to our houses, etc. If you Google it. So what I'm saying is that it's been over 20 years, 2005, that's over 20 years. So we needed help. And if IMF has helped us, I think for me, we are grateful. Because it took civil society. I know lawyer Ace and Kuma, Mary, Awilana, Ada and Co. They had to push. Ekufuado was stalling. So, and you see, he went out without passing it. And so if we don't increase the, the decibels, this government too may go out without passing it. So it's a serious matter. I think this is sufficient for now.
Thank you very much. And I would like to say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Martin Kwebu, really, a private legal practitioner, for being a part of this conversation and your contributions. To you as well, Dr. David Ofosudote, who is a transactions lawyer and a free thinker. Thank you as well for being a part of this panel as well. To you, Professor Bafo Agyemangya, governance expert, thank you so much for being a part of it, of this very important conversation. Also to you, Mr. George Ahin, partner PwC, that's Price Waterhouse Coopers. Right now, I need to invite head of the 3 group, Madam Akofa Bansin, who will be joining us to help us with the closing remarks. My name is Beatrice Sedu, GM for the 3 group. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. And yes. Applause for her.
Thank you. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you all for joining us today for today's thought leadership discussion on lifestyle audits, enhancing public service ethics. Our speakers have reminded us that integrity, transparency, and accountability are not just policies. They are values we must uphold to build a better Ghana. The insights shared today should inspire each of us to demand higher standards from our institutions and from ourselves. At Media General, we remain committed to creating platforms that spark meaningful conversations and drive national progress. We are grateful to all our partners, speakers, and you, the audience, for making this dialogue impactful. Let us leave here with one simple truth. Ethical leadership begins with every one of us. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at our next edition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, let's put our hands together for Madam Akofa Bansing. Never divorce the culture of the people from the laws and its implementation. We pretend to be fighting corruption. Lifestyle audits should not be limited to public officers or public servants. Pastors, private actors should also be a point of focus. A strong institution should be led by a strong person who can resist influence from any politician in position of authority, and many others you can find on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and also on 3news.com. We want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Robert Nyantechi is Executive Director of Integrity Access, a former manager here at TV3. Let's put our hands together. He's still a member of the family. Thank you, Mr. Nyantechi. Thank you for coming. Also heading this Integrity Access institution, a very key institution when it comes to this whole conversation about improving integrity in our public service. Also, Solomon Owusu is here. He's just joined us. He is the head of communications for UP Plus. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And then also, as we did indicate, the Assistant Auditor General, thank you for the support from the Auditor General's Department as well. Thank you. Let's put our hands together. Thank you. Quite a number of you sending us messages as you're watching on Facebook and also on following on social media. Dr. Notedia says, I've always said some persons benefit from skewed goodwill. Awesome dialogue and thought leadership. TV3, keep up the good job. Thank you very much, Dr. Notedia. This one also from Professor Stephen Kweku-Asare, who's been following keenly every step of the way since we started this conversation, says, dishonesty, 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 3 times. I commend Professor Bafo Ajimendua for hammering on that point. Thank you. Professor Stephen Kweku-Asare is following us. Let's put our hands together for him as well. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, all too soon we come to the end of this all-important conversation. Let's put our hands together for our panelists and our hosts as well. Thank you very much. The conversation doesn't end today. The plan is that after this moment, there are many other platforms that we're going to extend the conversation to so that we sustain it and make the impact. We're going to demand that some of the recommendations here be implemented. That is what the difference that the Media General dialogue brings to this whole discourse of these dialogues and talk programs. It's not just going to be a talk show. So the next time we invite you, we're going to be tracking the progress of some of the proposals. That's why we have the Deputy Auditor General here. Because all the recommendations, it goes to him. He's a big man. Yeah, yes. So we'll talk about that one afterwards. So the Deputy Auditor General is here. He's going to receive all of our recommendations and then he'll carry it going forward as well for implementation. So thank you so much for coming. And we want to wish you all the best for the rest of the day. I'm Alfred Okanse. Keep watching TV3. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Alfred, for that. And let me just use the opportunity again to say a big thank you to State Housing. Thank you for supporting us, to Piva Drinks, to King Furniture, and to Labadi Beach Hotel for our meals, which will be outside. So when you're stepping out, please remember that there's something outside for you to enjoy. My name is Beatrice. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of us. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Please, we need to take some...